Don't ever underestimate the heart of a champion.
Haha, welcome. This is the Sports Trapp podcast, and my name is John Trapp. This is Khoa, DJ, Mr. Wizard of Oz himself, and returning, my man, Christopher C-Rod Rodriguez. How you doing, sir?
What it do?
All right. Boy, do we got a show for you today. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to get our feelings out, our thoughts and our processes of what happened and why the Houston Astros will no longer be considered the champs of 2019. Congratulations, though, to the Washington Nationals.
Everybody,
all right, that's enough.
Props to hold up. Props to everybody but Soto. You on my shit list, bro. Real talk.
I'll say that. Yeah, I agree with that.
And also, we're gonna dab a little bit into the London game. Houston Texans went out and defeated the Jacksonville Jaguars in none other than London, England. Had a little. Oh, did you see Deshaun Watson have a little homage to Michael Jordan? Dabo Sweeney, he came out and he said that if you were to pass on Deshaun Watson in the draft 3 years ago, you're passing on Michael Jordan. Now, that's a big statement, but
no, it's not. Because
him jumping over the defender from the Jacksonville Jaguars, who he also jumped in the national championship game. It's the same player from Alabama. I'm sorry to bring up bad memories, but he looked exactly like the Jumpman logo. That was some clean, nice looking stuff I've ever seen. It was just ironically. So we're looking at Chris like,
listen. You see the swag already on my head right now. I know how good Deshaun Watson. I told you how good Deshaun Watson.
Right.
I even told you we need to draft him when we had a chance to get a quarterback, because the way he played and beat Alabama, which is considered a pro-style defense, said to me how gutsy, how strong, and how smart this kid is.
I'll tell you what, Dabo Sweeney's looking pretty good right now. And the other hard thing that we need to talk about is the Houston Rockets. Yeah, we'll get to that. James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and the Rockets right now looking at 4-3. So we'll get into that. But, hey, I want to get into the pick sixes. Did you see my week? Nothing to sniff at, nothing to be proud about. But, hey, pick six is always another week. Here we go.
Did you even do good this week?
Ooh, man. We'll get into that.
I think it was tough for all of us. I think we all had a tough week.
Now,
Anyway.
Well, I was right about one of the undefeated teams. They did lose. I said it was going to be close for these undefeated teams. We'll talk about that, though.
Congrats. You were 50-50. Congrats.
Who, me? Was I? I don't even pay attention to it.
Excuses.
once again, this is the Sports Trapp podcast. And now we got to get into the Houston Astros. Listen, did anybody see the interview that Gerrit Cole did right after the game? Of course, if you don't know, Houston Astros losing a 7-game series in Game 7, 6-2. We never got Gerrit Cole in the game, the number one pitcher, eventually throughout the season, because he kind of overtook Justin Verlander's role as our number one pitcher throughout the playoffs.
For sure.
And looks like he's going to be the highest paid pitcher in the MLB going forward. Now, with all that being said, Gerrit Cole in the locker room did not seem too pleased. Now, there's conflicting reports out there, but let me just say, as soon as the game was over, we check up on social media. We look at what's going on, what the city has to say, what the critics have to say, and we got our ears to the street, you feel me? Not just on social media, but literally, like my boys, we go out, we figure out what's going on. So Gerrit Cole apparently says he's no longer an employee of the Astros. Now, that sounds bad.
Yeah.
And
He immediately
especially-
takes off his Astros hat and he puts on a blank cap.
Not so much a blank cap. So
Oh,
in the
hold on.
locker room, see, this is what was reported. So there's no context behind it. These are just words saying that Gerrit Cole just admitted that he's no longer an employee of the Astros, and he also has his agent's logo, Scott's Boras
Okay.
logo
Yeah.
of his company hat on. He no longer has the Astro hat.
But in fairness,
Hold on. We'll get in there. So now those are just tweets. Those are just descriptions of what's going on, and those aren't necessarily wrong. But what happens is later on, you get a little bit more context, and you see the video play out. Yes, Gerrit Cole does say that he is no longer an employee of the Astros. But what it doesn't show is the frustration on Gerrit Cole. You could tell, in my opinion, maybe Chris and Khoa have a different point of view. Again, this video is out, and it gives you a different interpretation necessarily about what he has said. The guy says you have to give an interview. Gerrit Cole is clearly frustrated and responds to him back saying he doesn't have to. And the guy, whether he's another reporter or whether he's an employee of the Astros, telling him that he has to give reporters an interview or post-game interview, I'm not too sure. But he's clearly getting direction by somebody.
it was a rep for Houston Astros.
Oh, a rep from Houston Astros. Saying that, no, you have to give an interview because you are an Astro.
You're obligated. You need to do the interview.
And technically, it's true. Every player, whether they like it or not, within their contract, it stipulates you have to give interviews. That's why you see players like after in the games, you got James Harden always talking, and you get chosen because of whether or not you're people want to hear from you because of you having a good game. So Gerrit Cole, of course, being the best pitcher, gets chosen, and so he's being told that he has to give this interview. He's like, no, I don't. He's like, yeah, you do. And he's like, you have to because you're an Astro. He's like, I am no longer an employee of the Astros. And that didn't come off too good. And somebody else concurred that he had to give the interview. And he literally says, fine. And he takes about 5 steps over behind a backdrop of the Houston Astros logo, never taking off the hat that he had on, which again was Scott Boras's hat with Scott Boras's logo of his company. Scott Boras being his agent, the guy that's going to get Gerrit Cole probably around $250 million to $300. Now, that did not sound good, and aesthetically, with the hat on, you would imagine him to have an Astros hat on, but it looked like immediately he just already checked out, right?
Well, can I ask a question?
Go for it.
He was no longer in uniform. He was in the street clothes. So why is somebody in the street clothes, who do you know in the street clothes, in any baseball game, is still wearing the hat that they just wore? You know what I mean? Like I think people fail to realize that every time he finishes getting dressed, he's always wearing that Scott Boras hat. He's worn it in
So he's been wearing that hat apparently for the past 2 months. Let me just ask you a question. I know a lot of people said they've never seen anything like that. Nobody's ever really done that. And I'm not saying that's not necessarily true, but also nobody's really paid attention to Gerrit Cole before this. Gerrit Cole was somebody that has busted on the scene this year. Not that he wasn't good before, but as outside of the Astros fan, outside of Houston, nobody really knew of him too much. And they didn't care to see what he had to say, basically. But apparently he's been wearing this hat for the past 2 months. And then I want to point out something else. Gerrit Cole always wears hats. Yeah. It's not just the Astros hat. He's wore many hats from many different I guess companies, whether they pay him or not, I don't know. I'm not here to say that. But I'm just saying, when's the last time have you seen Gerrit Cole at the top of his head? For all I know, he could be bald.
No, he's the type of person that, like, just from perspective, he looks like the type of person, because he has long hair, that just likes to put whatever hat he has. And I have a good friend that he loves putting a hat on, and it's probably one of the ugliest hats, but it's because the feel of the hat just fits his head. He just loves the way it looks. You know what I mean? And I just think that this is all perspective. I think that as Astros fans, we're already heartbroken. Then you add this interview. It felt like it just added more salt to a wound that was already deep as fuck, right? And I think that I think when you're really upset and disappointed, you're looking for someone or something to blame. It's a reactionary feeling when you're just so upset and heartbroken that you're the victim, right? As Astros fans, we were a victim of high expectation. It was warrant expectation, right? Based off a 107 win team. But it, unfortunately, the interview was played before anyone got the backstory. And I just feel bad for Cole, because obviously the next day, he sends this heartfelt, message to the Astros. And he even said that, it was one of those situations where he literally, like, was in his feelings. And this is what I don't like about sports media, is that we're so quick to criticize an athlete for being honest and real, right? And you wonder why somebody like Greinke doesn't want to give interviews, right? Like why it's like gotta do good. It's gonna be great. Because
I love his interviews.
They're funny. You just lose.
It's not funny. It's like you could see he's uncomfortable, and like you get a real honest emotion out of him, regardless if it's like not something that you're used to.
Yeah, absolutely. No, what I'm saying is it's funny to me because it's not what the reporter wants, right? This is what they want. What the reporter wanted was some type of stupid reactionary to J. Cole. So that way they
want a headline.
They want a headline.
100%.
And so he knew that he wasn't in the right place mentally. And when you see the backstory, he's like, I don't want to do an interview because you could tell he was pissed off. Right. He was ready to come in and pitch.
He did not want to talk about his free agency the moment he lost the game.
Because you knew that was the question that was going to be asked.
And it was.
And then also, too, why didn't you go in? Like, he had a decision in that whole process. And then
I saw somebody say, you should have demanded that. You should have been out there. You should have said, no, I'm going out there because this is my team, my situation, and I'm going to. I'm like, that's so far from what really happens on a baseball field.
And it just sucks because, you just lost a game in a series that you shouldn't have lost. And this might be your last game for a city that you have learned to love, right? And now you're being asked about everything that right now is not on your mind. Like, he could care less about free agency at that moment. He could care less about anything other than...
Well, I think he thought it would be disrespectful to the team talking about free agency.
But he's a competitor too.
Right, exactly.
He was all in for this Astros team.
And
And I told you about this. The one thing that stood out, and we can talk about this in a little bit, in a few minutes, about is J. Cole, is if Cole's going to come back. But I feel like his reaction was the right reaction because it goes to show you that he was in it to win it. And he was here. He was willing to do anything and everything he could, because we all know getting to the World Series in baseball is probably one of the hardest things you can do.
Right.
It's rare that there's repeat teams. Why? Because you win one year and then the next year, because of how many
162 games.
162 games. It is really, really hard to even make the playoffs.
So we were literally 2 games away from playing the maximum. We didn't play a wild card game, and then we didn't play Game 7 in the ALCS versus the Yankees. But we played a 5-game series, divisional series, and a 7-game series, and that's a lot. That's a lot, But I'm all for Gerrit Cole. I have no problem with the way he did the interview. I don't have any problem with him even saying that he wasn't an employee. I felt like he was just trying to get out of the interview.
He wanted to try to get out of there, absolutely.
And I don't even have a problem with him.
I think it's just being
wearing
honest.
a hat, right?
Yeah, just being honest.
I don't even have a problem with wearing Scott Boras' hat. But I understand where people got kind of frustrated. That was a good point. People needed some way to take their frustrations out, and reporters needed a headline. But the one thing that told me he was done, and we can go deeper into this, is everything he said about the Astros was in past tense. I love playing with them. This was, I had a great time. I'll take these friendships on forever. Everything was in the past tense, and it just subconsciously, I'm pretty sure he knows, the Astros know, that they've already had certain discussions, and he's not coming back.
I think there's still a possibility he comes back.
Well, the Astros did extend a qualifying offer.
They have to get a draft pick.
And so I don't know. See, I wanted to maybe a little bit more about that, but
I do.
Besides a qualifying offer, is that just a conversation starter?
It's a conversation starter. So, I told you that I thought about it a little bit more because he does that. He definitely puts out that basically letter to the city of Houston, and then he also in an interview talks about how he was just reactionary and that how much he loves all the relationships he's made and how much Hinch has taught him and all these good things. You're right. He was talking in past tense, but then a couple of days later he does an interview with the New York Post, in which he goes on to say about how him and his wife are very comfortable in the city of Houston, and that him leaving because Reddick said he's basically going to go back to California, but he's saying that's not true, that they haven't really thought about that basically, to basically sum it all up in that interview is that, I would definitely come back to Houston. Right. And I was telling you that.
But he also said he has no control over that.
He doesn't have any control over it because it's in the hands of the Astros. I personally.
What? It's in the hands of the Astros and his agent.
Well, of course. Well, he's still. That's the thing. That's why I'm going to make this point. The tell-all, and I guess I know this, and maybe John, you can kind of feed on this as well, is that when you get married and you have a family, like.
Khoa.
Yeah, when I get married,
you start making decisions no longer based on your own ego, if you're a good husband, but you start making decisions based on how happy your family is, right? Because if you're happy, if your family's happy, then you're the happiest you can be, right? So to me, that was a very, very important detail is when he says, my wife and I are very comfortable here in Houston. And I told you, I think personally that the way he lost, I don't think that he thought he would take it that hard, because I don't think when he was traded here 2 years ago, he thought that he would become this emotionally invested, not only in the city, but his teammates, right? And I think for him, this might be the hardest decision in his whole life, because you take the money and you go play for Anaheim, right? Or you go play for the San Diego Padres, but not win anything, because those teams are not necessarily set up for success, right? You have all this money in your pocket, and we all know that losing causes bad attitudes. How I know? Because I've had a bad attitude this whole 2 weeks after the Astros have lost. But I think that right now, I think that his, of course, who his agent is, I think that obviously he's going to try to go out there to get him the most money possible, because guess what? If he gets him the most money possible, then the super agent Boras wins, right? Look who his other talent is.
Strasburg, yeah.
All right, so
opted out of a 4-year, $100 million contract.
Obviously, you don't want to go back.
And I'm almost, I could be wrong. Do not quote me on this, but I'm almost sure that Rondon is under Scott Boras's umbrella too, as far as an agent. Man,
all I know is this: I think that of course Houston offered all the free agents that have announced that they're not going to opt in. They've all been offered 1-year contracts, and that's just in case they leave.
Right.
They
extended a qualifying offer. They get a compensatory draft pick, right? But the offers are for 1 year, $17.8 million.
It's a lot of money.
A player has 10 days to reject or accept. And does that mean, so can he re-sign more than that?
Absolutely. You can re-sign more than that. And Jim Crane has already said, and I think I was reading this today on the Chronicle, that basically that this is a qualifying offer, but even if he doesn't accept, that they can still go to the table and offer him a full contract, right? This is just in case. This just saves the organization save face by if he does sign tomorrow with whoever, that they at least get a pick out of this, right? Because they're losing, obviously one of the best pitchers in baseball. But Jim Crane has already been on record to say they're going to make a run for Cole. And that was completely different from what he said a couple of weeks back, that they didn't feel like they'd be able to even compete with other teams, or they would be, because of the Greinke deal, they wouldn't even be able to even try to actually sign him. But now he said they're going to make a run for it. And I personally, and I told you this, that I really think that if Cole does come back to the Astros, I think it's a possibility that he signs for a year or 2 years. Because I feel like he is more... I think he realized him and his wife are more invested in the Astros and his team. And him leaving, it might be really hard for him to do, especially if he's leaving the way they went out. So do I think that there's a better chance of him taking the money and going? Obviously. I think we all are in those shoes. We probably all take the money. But Cole was on a different level. And I think that even if you have a small window, I think that our window is bigger than a lot of other teams that are losing their superstar players.
All right. So do you think that Gerrit Cole could possibly have a better season next year?
If he's on the Astros, yes.
Ooh. Okay. Do you think that would get him more money?
Possibly. But here's the thing. We all know for a fact that and we've seen he keeps improving, right?
Right.
So, and he's still super young. And the fact that everybody knows he's one of the few pitchers in baseball that can throw all different type of pitches at such a level. Even if he signs here for a year or two, he's still going to, even if they sign him for 2 years and he's getting paid $17, $18 million, that's a lot of money.
Right.
And I think that either way it goes, let's say he decides he stays here for 1 year and then goes to free agency, that money's still going to be on the table.
Not if he doesn't get hurt.
Not if he doesn't get hurt. But
I mean, not if he gets hurt. But that's one of the things that the coach, A.J. Hinch, came out and said, that he wanted to leave Gerrit Cole in the best health possible, which, yes, that's altruistically, that sounds good. But in this situation, I think that all possibilities should have been looked at. But anyways, going back to Gerrit Cole's situation. Gerrit Cole is from California.
right.
Now, the Yankees have already started making moves. They let go and have decided not to extend Gregorius, their, I guess, replacement for Derek Jeter, which he came up short this year in the playoffs, obviously, versus the Houston Astros. But, so that being said, the New York Yankees are positioning themselves to...
They're not going to get Gerrit Cole.
Here's the thing. Gerrit Cole was actually drafted by the New York Yankees.
Right.
Gerrit Cole turned the New York Yankees down. Mm-hmm. And he ended up going to college, which is a choice of his, in California. Mm-hmm. Him being from California, he chose to stay in school and go to, I want to say, UCLA. Right? So that's one thing. His family, he grew up, obviously, a California baseball fan, a Angels fan. Angels have already shown a propensity to give out $100 million contracts to Mike Trout, of course, and Albert Pujols. So they don't mind giving out money, right? His family's from California. His girlfriend or wife is from California. He's from California. He's chosen California over the New York Yankees. All signs are pointing. Now, you might be right. He might come back for 1 year, maybe. But I got a feeling 90% of the time, or even higher, 90% of the time, in this case, I want to say 90%, he's gone.
The reason why I don't believe that is this. First and foremost, I think if the Astros don't like let's just say they lose in the first round, he's definitely not coming back.
Right.
I think the worst thing that's ever happened to this city, the worst loss ever, is us losing in the World Series in Game 7, having home field advantage, having an epic season, 107 win record. But it might be the best thing that's ever happened to us because I think that it's emotionally scarring, especially for a competitor like Gerrit Cole. Let's just say he signs with Anaheim.
Yeah.
Are they winning a championship in the next 10 years?
I don't think so. But here's the one thing I'll give you. If he's looking at Bryce Harper and what happened with him in the Washington Nationals, not that Bryce Harper is jealous, but he kind of probably feels like shit a little bit, you know? Not that you know, it doesn't
$330 million
right,
to sit on.
right,
It's like, well, I mean,
exactly.
at the end of the
like,
day,
I'll feel better with the. But you know, that's a worst case scenario type situation.
But what
for
did the
Gerrit Cole
National?
Because we got McCullers coming back. I don't know what they're gonna do with Mahue. Urquidy is gonna be nice next year. We got somebody in farm system coming up next year. So we it's not to the Armageddon situation with the Astros. The Astros are gonna be okay.
But prior to him coming to Houston, was he winning?
No.
So he didn't start winning until he came to Houston.
Right.
And when you look at the Houston Astros as put together, there is not another team other than maybe the Yankees because of their money, maybe the Boston Red Sox, but they're going to be trading everybody from what I'm hearing. There's only a few teams right now in Major League Baseball that have the ability, have the players, have the farm system, have great coaching system, have a great city that can basically continue to win the next couple of years.
Right.
And
Houston is that.
And you bring up Bryce Harper, and this is a great segue. What did the Nationals do? They offered him all this money. He turned them down.
Right.
They took that money and got key players, right, to become a champion.
Right.
Anaheim is going to have so much money in two players, basically. Are they going to be able to put a team like the Astros and the Nationals together while they pay Trout and Gerrit Cole all this money? They're still going to be losing. They're still not going to touch the Astros, right? So you have to ask yourself, the money's great, but am I getting all this money just to lose? To me, Gerrit Cole is a competitor. He wants to be the best. He wants to play for the best. And he just so happened to play for one of the best teams in baseball for the last 2 years and then didn't even realize how much he would love the city. And I'm telling you, him saying him and his wife are comfortable here, he said, my wife and I are comfortable, tells you that his wife is like, babe, we don't have to leave.
Right. See,
You know
but
what I mean?
there's nothing other than emotion anchoring them down. When you put when you put down the anchors and you look at where his roots are, it's all California. I mean, regardless of
Tell me a team in California that can win.
I'm not.
He don't want to play for the Dodgers.
Well, the Dodgers are good, dude. The Dodgers got beat by the eventual champions, just like we did. Well, I think it was 6 games, but regardless, I mean, it's just too many factors that line up to me for me to believe that he's staying. What do you think? Is he coming or going? Is he re-signing or is he gone?
I think there's a better shot than people think. I mean, I don't think it's like a 50-50. I don't think it's a toss-up, but I think that there's a shot that he stays. I don't know what to think of. Like, I think it's nice that he came out with a statement saying that he loved it here and whatnot, but I feel like at that point it just kind of became like, what do you call it? You know what I mean? Like, he just is doing it just to have something out, like a statement out. Like, he had to do it for political.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, just to save face.
Yeah.
Just to save face, right? So, although I appreciate and respect what he said, I don't know how true and how authentic it is, how genuine it is. Because I feel like whatever we saw when he was getting interviewed and everything was more of his raw, true emotions. Not to say that I blame him for any of those, because, of course, I think anybody would have been frustrated in that moment just to talk about what's going to be happening in his future and whatnot. But I think, like those comments, certain things are like very specific and very quick to say, like, I'm not a Houston Astro anymore. Like, it just sounded petty kind of,
Right.
So it's, I mean, if the deals are done right and if, Scott Boras works his magic somehow and we fucking go into the luxury tax or whatever, like, he could be staying, but I don't know. I just feel like he doesn't want to.
And just a quick.
What?
I feel like he doesn't want to.
You think that Gerrit Cole does not want to?
I don't know if I believe that statement that came out. Like, I don't know if I truly believe it.
Wow.
Because I think that his heart still is at home in California. I don't know if he's going to play over there, but I don't know if he really wants. I think it's the smartest decision for him. I think it's the best fit. You're right. I think where is he going to go and be as good and have as good of a season again? I don't think he could anywhere else.
But it doesn't matter once you've already get paid.
But see, you guys say that, right? You guys say that and forget that we're talking about somebody who is a competitor, who takes pride in his game, who has taken the knowledge that we've given him and enhanced his game. He has to look at this. Once you've tasted success, you want it. The fact that they came one inning, technically 3 innings, right? 3 innings away from actually winning a World Series. If he wins a World Series, he definitely doesn't come back, right?
Wow,
But
you think that the fact that we didn't win the World Series will bring him back?
I think not winning the World Series and him getting, you could tell he was emotionally upset about not winning this, tells me that he is going to really look at what's going to be best for him, not just from a financial standpoint. Listen, regardless if he stays in Houston or not, he's going to get paid, right? Now, Scott Boras wants him to get paid, be the highest pitcher ever to be paid because it benefits him.
Right. But that's the reason why. First of all, he got hired for a reason.
Right. But we've also seen that, did he also not represent Bryce Harper last year?
Yes, and Bryce Harper left.
And did Bryce Harper get all the money he thought he was going to get? Because not
necessarily.
He only got $150 million, right?
No, he got 300. He got 300 on the dot.
Are you sure about that? Oh shit! Well then, no, he did not get 300 million.
The deal was 330. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, and then what's his name won up them with 333. 300 million. 330 million.
Okay, well then this just goes back to what you just said. He can look at this right now. Scott Boras can obviously get you the most money, but now he's playing in Philadelphia that's gonna suck for a while.
Hey man. But okay, let me ask you this:
13 years in Philadelphia.
Say that the Astros do more than just a qualifying offer, right? We're gonna pay him $200+ million. What's to say that doesn't sacrifice the rest of the team? We might have a shot 1 year because this team, for all intents and purposes, would come back looking similar, if not the same. But after that, you're gonna have the huge discussions with Springer. I think after next year, there's other than Altuve and Bregman, I think that's the only other people that are locked up for the future. The
reasons why, and Athletic did a really good piece on us. You get a chance to read it, and they break down the Astros. Astros are one of the few teams. If they go over, let's just say that they go over the tax, right? It's only going to be a $10 million penalty, which is one of the lowest that you could possibly have, right? So when you start breaking down that a lot of our young players haven't even reached their first or second arbitration, we are in a very, very good place.
I get that.
So even let's just say that you go and give Cole 2 years, right? Let's just say you go and give him 2 years at $20 million, right? Let's just say you do that. You still have the ability to sign Springer. The fact that you've already signed Altuve and Bregman long term, which is most important. The only person that I see becoming a sacrificial, sacrifice, right, is Carlos Correa. Yeah. And I think we all can agree that if we lost him, I don't think too many people would be too upset about that.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You don't think so?
No.
Hell no.
Man, you know what? To be honest with you, of what I saw about Rendon, I'd rather have Rendon. I would rather have Bregman scoot over to his natural position, which is shortstop, and Rendon at third. And I would sacrifice Carlos Correa. Carlos Correa represents a bad contract to me. A contract that you would have to sign him for 10 years, $300+ million.
Because he's going to try to
for somebody that's not, to me, not worth it. I'm sorry. I mean, I like Carlos Correa. Don't get me wrong, but he's not worth it. In the next 5 years, I think you get more out of Rendon.
Listen, man, amazing shortstops are out there, right? Mm-hmm. You have one already. He's plays third base.
Yeah.
And as for what I've seen from a consistent standpoint, the most consistent Astros are the ones who've already got those long-term contracts pending Springer because he's going to get one. Carlos Correa, tell me, When have you gone in each season and been like, man, we can always count on him? Because what you can count on is him getting hurt and him not showing up.
I kind of want to get into that whole energy that I had after the Astros lost, right? I was frustrated. I was
You're not a fan,
frustrated.
John.
I was pissed off. And what pissed me off even more after the fact is, like, I couldn't be mad. I had to be proud. Yes, I was proud. Nobody ever told me that I wasn't proud of my team. Like, I never said that I wasn't proud of my team. But I couldn't be mad. That I had to be grateful. I had to accept this, and that's it. Like, I wasn't a true fan if I didn't get up, if I was upset. And I was like, no, I'm going to be pissed off for the next however long it takes me to get over this. What have I invested? I'm a fan. I relate to the team. I'm a Houston Astro fan. You know, like, that to me is the closest representation that I feel like the city of Houston has of what exactly culturally we represent as a city. So I am deeply emotionally invested. I am, as a fan, invested, money, time, you know, and then just whatever else comes along with it. But I have a right to be upset. Like, you have a right to not agree with what Correa did. You have a right to agree with what Correa did. Nobody's telling anybody that shouldn't draw out the emotion out of you, right? So for me, for anybody to tell me that I wasn't a fan, that I have to appreciate, I have to be proud, that was just as, to me, as unfair as saying that I wasn't a fan, as being a fan of the Houston Astros. I don't know about you guys, but going back and you look at the situations that we were put in Game 7, when you have, if not the best pitcher in the MLB sitting in the bullpen ready to pitch, of course, I don't know exactly if he was mad about that exact moment, Gerrit Cole. Mm. If he was upset about not being able to pitch in that game, but I was for him. You know, Greinke being pulled out so early, but besides that home run, he'd only given up 2 runs. I mean, two hits the entire game. You know, so the decisions that played out in that 7th game, like you were saying, the bats didn't come out. The pitching decisions that came out, for us not stealing, us not trying to generate runs, and knowing that we weren't generating them by RBIs and big bat situations, we didn't go out, in my opinion, we didn't go out trying to win. We tried not to lose. AJ Hinch even said we weren't going to pitch Gerrit Cole unless we were winning.
Yeah, there was different scenarios. I said it earlier. I think when you're invested emotionally, financially, in your sports team, you're going to look for every reasons to find blame and to point the finger at what caused, you know, your team to lose. So it happens to be our Astros. We were here. We did everything we could to try to get Khoa to be off for Game 6 so that we all could experience a championship, going out celebrating. We were all in. Our last show was called In 6, right? Even though Khoa said or 7. The point being is, whether it was in 6 or whether it was in 7, we were emotionally invested and believed without a doubt that we were going to win.
We were believing.
We were going to win this.
We really believed that shit.
And that it was going to be epic, and it was going to be better than the last championship because we all get to do it together and we all get to be better prepared to celebrate than we had. You know, the thing is that when it's all said and done, yes, there was some questionable coaching, right? But at the same time, that same coach also did an immaculate job in 2017 when he never been in that situation before and just went with his gut instinct. I think the most telling thing about this whole series, and everyone keeps blaming the coach, or why didn't we put Cole in? Why didn't we hit? To me, that's the biggest thing that stood out, because throughout the whole playoffs, we struggled hitting the ball. This is a 107 win team.
I get that, Chris, but it's not like these pitchers that were pitching weren't good. First of all, the Detroit Lions had Verlander, had Scherzer, had Adabel Sanchez. Two of those three pitchers were on the other team. Then you had Strasburg, who it looks like he could be a perennial Cy Young Award winner. You know, it's not like we were facing some no-name. Who? If you look at it down the line of the playoffs, the people that beat us, Scherzer, Strasburg, and Morton. Mm-hmm. And those are the like top pitchers. And our bats weren't like necessarily like silent in the sense of we were not producing runs on people that are no names. We were facing the best of the best, which is what you expect in the World Series. But at the same time, you know, I just felt like in a close situation, a close series, and when pitching is that good on both sides, we needed to do something more to generate runs.
Did you watch the last month before we went to the playoffs?
I would think so. Yeah,
I hope so, because then you would have been realizing that we went into the playoffs with the hitting slump, and it just progressively got worse throughout the playoffs. So you can sit here and tell me that we faced the best pitching. We also faced some amazing pitches in 2017,
right.
and still found a way to bring in runs.
Right.
That was the thing. We kept leaving 10, 8, 9. I think at one point we had 15 men on base throughout the series, where we couldn't just simply knock in a run to get the person on.
No, I think we left 10 on the game 6. We left 10.
I'm talking about throughout the playoffs.
Right.
So we got lucky with the first two series because our pitching was able to beat their pitching. Right. It wasn't our bats, but our pitching.
Right.
But then we took on a team that was pretty much equal when it came to pitching. Our pitching was just as good in many cases as the Nationals, but Nationals found ways to make their hits count. Astros seem to be either thinking too much or not thinking enough when they approach. To me, that we can look at that as a form of choking. Do I think the Astros choked? No, because to say they choked is a takeaway from a Nationals championship, and I'm not going to do that. I would say this, that I still think the Astros are the better team, right? They just got outplayed. And the Nationals deserve that to win, and the Astros deserve to lose, because the Astros had opportunities up the bazoo to win and take this. Whether it was not putting Cole in, or whether when you have bases are loaded and all you can do is get one run in, that shouldn't happen for the team that we have and the bats that we have and the money that we pay.
No.
So truth be told, although I didn't want to say this 2 weeks ago, I'm going to give the most praises and dues to the Nationals, with the exception of Hoto. I'm not calling him Soto, because I think that team was very classy. I think the guys are all well-deserved. They all have great stories. I mean, even though we didn't win a championship, a homegrown talent, Rendon actually won, and that means something because he was big. He had crucial hits. He took advantage of his hits. And at the end of the day, I think that it's just extremely heartbreaking and disappointing. I've been in Houston my whole life. I'm a Houstonian. I can tell you right now that the hardest defeat I've ever had to experience was when the Buffalo Bills came back to beat the Houston Oilers when they were up 28-0. I never cried so hard in my life about a team. And I never thought I could feel that type of disappointment, because as a kid, disappointing and crying, like you're a kid, right?
Yeah.
But to me, the disappointment that I felt with the Astros losing when you know they should have won was to me the worst defeat I've ever had to experience as a sports fan in general, especially my home team.
So
and it hurt.
Let me ask you this: the in all situations, what is the worst defeat that you've ever, not one game, just in any situation, like a series or whatever, like in football, of course it's one game, but like the Rockets or the Astros, they play series. What is the worst defeat that you've ever had to endure as a Houston fan?
This one. This one's number one for me.
You too?
This was number one for me because of, listen, if we lose a 95 championship, we can get, we can, as far as the Rockets, you can be like, well, at least we won the 94 and we beat the New York Knicks.
Right.
And
but then you could say the same thing with 2017.
The reasons why this felt like it was destiny was because we have never had a team win this many games, have this much talent, and be so. I mean, when you think about a baseball team, they were all around, to me, the most talented team in all of baseball. There's a lot of teams that are super talented that can't win, right? Boston Red Sox, Yankees, look, they can never win the big games, and they pay all the money. But we put this team together, homegrown, and built this empire, right? The expectation from the city of Houston is that, like we can't count on the Rockets, we can't count on the Texans, but at least we can count on the Astros, right? And even when we lost the first two games, as fans, we're like, we're going to turn it around. They had the player meeting. We win 3 in a row. And the whole point of them not even sitting their players and winning 107 games was the point of having home field advantage for a situation like this.
Yeah.
And they have game 6 and 7.
Yeah.
And they lose. Not like they lost. They got beaten in game 6 and then they lose the way they do in game 7. It is fucking horrible.
Yeah.
And talking about it right now makes me even more upset. I think I'm past the angry part. Now I'm just on the really sad part because this will go down.
12 steps of depression.
Think about this. This will go down as one of the probably the greatest team ever put together from a Houston overall sports team.
Right.
That was in the championship, game 7 of the World Series in Houston, Texas, and could not make either whether it was a proper coaching decision or
couldn't seal the deal.
The deal. I don't think we could get anything worse than that.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's kind of goes back to what I said 2 weeks ago, like, and it just kind of reconfirmed it. I felt like we got outplayed by a version of ourselves.
No, 100%. Yeah,
and I think that you look at that, and then it's just like flashback to us being the Nationals back then, playing against the Dodgers, who's now played by us. We're the heavy favorite now.
Right.
And like I said, I've told you, I've never liked being a really heavy favorite. I love the underdog story, but now that we're the favorite, can you live up to that hype? I mean, I hate that pressure, but we had it this year, and lo and behold, season's over, and now naysayers will say whatever, but yes, I still believe that they're hands down the most talented team in baseball and the most talented team we've ever had. But to see all of that go and not be able to have it pay off in the end. You think about the 2007 Patriots. You think about the Warriors that broke the season record and then lost in the finals. It's like, do you think it's comparable to those teams at all?
Yeah,
what I mean? Like,
but isn't that what defines? And that here's the reality for all of us right now. We have to really think about it. And I think that's why if you're really invested in the Astros and you've been following them and you're a true Astros fan, and we'll talk about what a true Astros fan is in just a few minutes. I think that you have to start asking the question. Not everybody is emotionally built for greatness. That's why there's only a few teams in all of sports history that have found a way to be the favorite, right? And go out there every year and take their level of competitiveness to the next level to continue to defend being the best. We hate the Patriots. Why do they keep winning? We hate Alabama. Why they keep winning? Because they live to be the villain. They live to be the person that can say is the greatest team of all time.
Right.
Not all teams can do that. There's a reason why the Yankees haven't been to championship since we were in high school. That's because being great means you have to be greater than the underdog. And we already know the underdog has nothing to lose, right? We had everything to lose, and we literally lost it.
So you brought up a good point. Like, yes, you have the same feeling that the Nationals had that same mentality to win the national championship that we did, and especially in 2017, but they're almost a reflection of us, right? But here's the thing. I don't see them coming back next year. The Astros have either been in the World Series or the ALCS every year, right? Oh, no. Well, they have they have lost the eventual championships. Last year in 2018, they lost to the Red Sox. But with that being said, we still have a future, regardless of if Cole comes back or not. But they lose Strasburg, different story. They lose Rendon, different story.
Right.
You know, they don't get back to this place. Boston Red Sox, they won a championship and they didn't even make the playoffs this year, you know? So we're still in a good position. I wonder, though, at what point, if we do not produce another championship out of this team, at what point do we say AJ Hinch may not?
I don't think it's Hinch though. I think Hinch stays because Houston has a habit of keeping coaches longer than they should. But you know what I noticed too? What I noticed is that when you're caught in the moment and when you're all in, when I say balls in as a fan, you don't pay attention to the details of the flaws that your team has.
Right.
It's not until you lose that you start noticing, like, damn. And there is some questionable things that I noticed through this series about some of our bats.
Like Carlos Correa?
Like Carlos Correa. I don't want to mention him because, I might get punched, man. Anyways, but what I'm saying is, like, our Reddick. You know how I feel about Josh Reddick. Yeah. But there were some things that I saw, even Springer, there were some things that I saw about him that keeps coming back and forth, which is, he can get too lost in thinking about the game of baseball instead of just playing the game of baseball, which hurts him. Even Altuve got caught up in that slump, and I was shocked because, at least he's been the most consistent. And the reason why I thought about this is because I have never said anything bad about my Houston Rockets, and of course we'll get into that soon. But I've watched all 7 games, and for the first time in my whole life, I'm like, holy crap, like James Harden sucks. There's things about him that I didn't want to admit to or just couldn't gravitate to because I'm so lost in the passion that I have for that team. And I think for a lot of us Astros fans, I think we left trying to figure out what happened, and in reality, our team just did not play to their potential. Right. And it's hard to admit that. It really is. It really is.
All right. This is the Sports Trapp Podcast. My name is John Trapp. Khoa, Mr. Christopher Rodriguez. Man, we sit here and we go back and forth about the Houston Astros and stuff like that all season long, man. I don't even think that we even have to qualify ourselves as fans or anything like that, but you know us. Anyways, from one Houston team to another, we're closing a chapter on the Houston Astros, but I do want to open this next chapter up with what could potentially be the greatest quarterback Houston has ever seen in the Houston Texans on a Houston Houston franchise. No disrespect to Warren Moon, and Deshaun Watson still has a ways to go, but Deshaun Watson has bust down the scene. Dabo Sweeney, as I mentioned before, called him Jesus in cleats. That's Jerry Rice. Called him Michael Jordan. Passing up on Michael Jordan.
Now, can I ask you a question? Why is it that when you speak of Deshaun Watson, you have to throw in there, he's great, he might be the greatest quarterback of all time for the Texans, but he still has a long way to go? I didn't hear you say that same thing about Mahomes when you were all like, Mahomes this and Mahomes then. He's the best player. You didn't say anything. He has a lot to do. Even when I challenged you that he won the best, you're like, no, he's the best. You never said that he has a long ways to go.
No, because I want to give respect to Warren Moon. That's the only reason. But
then say
Mahomes,
that.
I just did.
Now that I brought it up.
Anyways, so Mahomes I haven't said too much about Mahomes lately because he's been injured and his team isn't doing as well. I do think that Mahomes has carried the team before, even in this season. But
Andy Reid carries that team.
To me, has a better overall team on the offensive side. Now, with Deshaun Watson, which I give you credit for, as of right now, if you gave me the choice of who's a better quarterback, I would say Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson is about 90% of this team.
He might be 100% at this point.
I don't think that if you go positionally, I don't think that other than D-Hop, there's nobody that's even close to how good Deshaun Watson at their position as he is. Now, I want to ask you something. With the Houston Texans beating the Jaguars over in London, you see the progression of the team. They beat the Jaguars by 1 point in week 2, I believe, and then they beat the Jaguars by 23. Again, Michael Jordan. There's all these, jump man, all these symbolisms of Michael Jordan and Deshaun Watson. But how good is this Texans team? Regardless if you take Deshaun Watson, keep him on it or off. But are they for real?
I tell you how good they are. And I don't necessarily know if that's truly really good, but they're good enough right now to for the first time for a lot of people in Houston say, at least we have the Houston Texans. Because in the past, we've said, well, at least we have the Rockets and at least we have the Astros. And both of those teams, obviously we already discussed the Astros and we'll be discussing the Rockets. But right now, I think that Deshaun Watson, and I said this, that he would be MVP in spite of his coach, right? And the biggest problem that I see the Texans having right now, which will not take them to the next elite level, is that they still are having issues, offensive line, and most importantly, the play calling in the first half. They can't get going. They don't get going until Deshaun Watson starts becoming Deshaun Watson and just pretty much freestyles the offense. And then it just shows how great he is. And it makes me feel like maybe, just maybe, the Texans are on something. I know that we don't have a GM. Could we actually be the first team that doesn't have a GM and a coach? And we could just let Deshaun Watson call the plays, and we'd probably be really super successful. What you think, man? Coach Deshaun Watson / GM? Could he be that person?
I wouldn't be opposed to it, man.
So, okay. And this is one question I have in general. Now, they're what is their record overall? 6-3?
Yeah, man.
Right? Mm-hmm. So 6-3, they finally had their bye week this week, so they're not going to play this week. But at some point, you got to give credit to the coaching, and me included. We've been very opposed to Bill O'Brien. Now, we lost J.J. Watt last week, and for them to hold the Jaguars to 3 points after losing your best defensive lineman, that's impressive. And that does have to go, in my opinion, a little bit on the coaching, because Deshaun Watson has no bearing on the defense.
Well, this is why it's so hard to not question the Texans, because this is what they do, right? It's almost like fool's gold. Because we know for a fact right now, we can all agree, even Khoa, and I say this not out of disrespect, but we can agree that their defense is not going to hold up against the elite offenses of the NFL.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
So right now, they're gonna be just like the Kansas City Chiefs. They're gonna have to find a way to make it stop, right? You can only rely on Mahomes and Deshaun Watson for so long, right? So, as constructed, let's just say they went out, right? Let's just say if everything happens as great in the world of the Houston Texans, that they even get a first-round bye. Okay. Can we all agree here that, let's just say that they have to play the Ravens in the second round, that their defense can keep the Ravens? I mean, can actually help this offense beat the Ravens or the Patriots?
Oh! I love that you mentioned that, because they're gonna play the Ravens.
I know.
Real soon.
I know.
And I want to say that the very next game after the bye week is the Ravens. So, with that being said, the Texans, according to you, are fool's gold. Do they win the division?
Brissett looks like he's hurt, right? I think the Colts are the only thing right now that's standing in their way from winning division, right? But it could go either way because now the honestly, we can look at the Texans schedule. Like I'm listen, a win is a win, right? And I know sometimes we get into to and you've said all the time. To me, that's loser talk when people are like you only can play who you're in front of you. Anyways, it is true, but it's still loser talk. It's still loser talk.
How is that loser talk?
Because there's a lot. Listen.
No, just finish what you were gonna say.
What I was just saying is that
I swear, I'm about to propose to you right now. If shut the.
Listen.
Time out. Cut that out.
Hey, you should never look at it like when I hear people defend their teams like the 49ers who haven't played anybody that's good, they're like, well, you can only play who's in front of you. That's absolutely right. That's the truth part of it, right? But you also have to be truthful as a fan. You're right, Chris. We have played sorry-ass teams. We should be beating those teams. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand.
Right.
We should have beaten the Jacksonville Jaguars. Minshew, obviously there's no more Minshew mania anymore because he's just going to be sent back to the bench. But compared their quarterback and their offense compared to the Texans should always beat the Jaguars, right?
Okay.
And that's been the problem with the Texans for quite some time. They can never beat who they're supposed to beat, right? Or they come close to beating good teams, but they can never finish it. And the only thing that gives me any hope is Deshaun Watson. All those other teams that didn't live up to the potential, because we can say there's other teams that the Texans have had that had better constructed teams with the exception of the quarterback. The reasons why, as a Houston Texans fan, you should feel better about this year's Texans, even though it's going to be really hard for us to beat the elite teams because of our defense, is the fact that we have Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson is always going to keep us in the games.
Right. So, unfortunately, I think that not that they're fool's gold. No, I mean, not to say that they aren't or are, but I think they're exactly what we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the season. Almost like another 8-8 team, first round exit. And the way it's looking right now, they have the Ravens next, the Colts, which is always a tough game, and the Patriots. I don't think that they're better than the Ravens. I think that they can beat the Colts, and I don't think that they're better than the Patriots. After that, it's pretty below 500 teams, right? With Titans, Buccaneers, and Titans again to finish the season off. Now,
they play Colts on
say
short
they,
rest
huh?
They play Colts on short rest too on Thursday night game.
Say they, which that could be good and bad. It doesn't matter. I mean, just one team is gonna have an off game, and the other team's gonna have a better. But even if that's the case, they win, they lose all those 3 games, right? It will be 6-6, and then win the next 4, 10-6. That's a 10-6 season, and you can't tell me that's not plausible because they went, I think, 8 games in a row last year, right?
What's Tennessee's record right now?
4-5.
They're 4-5, and they still have actually a pretty decent defense. I think people fail to realize that.
Yeah, but I mean, let's just say that Deshaun Watson
he beats him.
Yeah, right. Anyways, so
man,
I just don't see them getting over that hump. Not this year, not with this coaching staff, not past the first round again.
But what we said that in the beginning when we did a whole football preview is that this is why not having a GM and not using the $40 million that you had, you could have put better talent, especially with this quarterback. And I told you this last week, if there's ever been a time that the Texans could actually go to the Super Bowl and steal one, this is one of the years. And it's disappointing to know that, like, would you, let me ask you something, both of you guys. Would you feel better about the Texans if we still had Clowney? From a defensive standpoint?
Yes.
Yes, obviously, but I felt good about the fact that they held the Jaguars at 3 points. And I mean, I think that should count for something. Especially after losing J.J. Watt.
Yeah, it counts as a win.
Right. So, if they don't beat the Ravens, I don't necessarily think that That's a disappointing loss. But if you can win against the Colts and you can win against the Patriots, they'll give me more hope than anything, because those are tough teams, and you can actually see that, you can tell that there's progression within that organization, within the season, within the offensive line. As bad as they started, yes, they've had a couple hiccups the past couple of weeks, but they all in all, they got better. Defensively, if anything, like last week was a sign of the times, they're progressing. So, they got those next 3 games are gonna be telling of what the season is.
So can we all agree that I can say that I think that it's a fair and unfair statement to say that it's fool's gold, because right now we still don't know about the Texans.
Right.
The one thing that we do know is that Deshaun Watson is the best fucking quarterback in the NFL. All right.
Oh, hold on. Deshaun Watson is the best quarterback, right? But you're forgetting Russell Wilson.
He's the second best quarterback.
5 touchdowns.
He's the second best quarterback.
All right. Then you're forgetting Lamar Jackson.
He is definitely the 4th best quarterback.
Fourth best quarterback. Yeah. Who you got 3?
Come on, Aaron Rodgers still good, man.
After that showing?
They lost. Okay.
All right. Okay.
San Diego ain't no joke.
That's a perfect segue.
What the hell?
Top five.
You act like the San Diego Chargers or the London Jaguars. Come on now, man.
Listen. Oh, London Jaguars or pretty much they could be the London Chargers.
Yeah.
But, all right, so I asked you to put down a list of your top 5 teams. Chris, Khoa. Oh, I don't know about Khoa. I know you've been working.
Whoa.
You make a top 5 list?
I did not, but I'm going to make one right now.
All right, Chris, did you make a top 5? Because you've been talking all this smack about my team, about the 49ers.
Oh, yeah,
talking about loser talk because I said they can only play with the people that are put in front of them, which I don't know if y'all know this, but they're 8-0.
Oh, my God.
They're 8-0 right now. They're just, I can't help but
listen. The reason why I say it's loser talk.
They're 8-0.
The reason why I say it's loser talk, I want to really clarify myself. A win is a win, regardless, right?
Right.
But what I don't like is when somebody goes, and I think there's an argument on both sides. When your team is winning, they're like, well, look who you played. They're like, well, yeah, that's all we can play. But then that person who makes that great point also can accept the point that, yeah, we have played some sorry-ass teams. That's all I'm asking. Be fair.
Okay.
Be fair with analysis. So be fair.
Let's delve into this a little bit more. All right. Chris, who are your top 5 teams?
Well, number 1 is obviously the 49ers. Oh, that's John's list. Sorry. Fuck. Let me pull up my fucking list. I think the number 1 team in the NFL right now is still the Patriots. And it's just, unfortunately, they're still the number 1 team.
Wow, really?
I
Talking
think
about somebody that hasn't really played anybody. I'm sorry. I'm going to let you finish. Go ahead.
Yeah. And soon the 49ers will play somebody too, and they'll probably get their first loss. Fool. I think just because of Bill Belichick, when you look at the team structurally put together, I have to look at the coach. I have to look at who the quarterback is. Their defense is still amazing. 49ers defense is still amazing, regardless if both teams have played shitty teams. I think that the Houston, I'm not gonna say the Houston Texans. I think they're barely number 1. The Patriots are number 1. I think the number 2 team is right now you're going to have to put the San Francisco 49ers just because they're 8-0. So it counts for something.
I appreciate that, man. I like the love.
Man, fuck you. Anyways, 49ers are number 2, and I think that the Baltimore Ravens are number 3. And then you have the Seattle Seahawks as number 4. And then number 5 is such a toss-up because that's when you kind of start looking at all of the teams and they all seem pretty even match. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I'm just going to go and put the Packers as my number 5 team. I know that they had a big loss against San Diego, but San Diego is fighting for dear life and they're still a quality possible playoff team. So I just think it was just a bad matchup overall.
Who did you have for number 4?
Number 4 is the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then and I will say this. I put 5 as the Packers, but I'm telling you, the Texans are like a vagina hair. I got this from Cardi B. A vagina hair from being the 5th best team in the NFL.
Who?
The Houston Texans. Like,
whoa.
Honestly, and the reasons why I'm saying that, and it's controversial for me to say that, because, man, when you have like somebody like Deshaun Watson, it's hard to bet against this kid. This kid keeps proving me right by telling everybody and being very, very passionate that Deshaun Watson is the best quarterback in the NFL. So I feel like what he does is just magical, and I always feel like you have a chance. So that's why I'm putting him as a very close fit. They're gonna be 6, but they're very close from being the 5th spot.
All right. So your list is horrible. I can't believe some of the inconsistencies you have within what you have stated with my 49ers and the weak schedule that they've had. And you turn around and give the best number 1 spot to New England, who had admittedly one of the weakest schedules in the league.
Absolutely.
According to your standards. But let's not. I mean, I don't want to get too much into.
Warning. This will be all bias. Warning, bias.
Okay.
Warning, bias.
Some inconsistencies, we're about to hear it right now. Come on, Garoppolo.
All right. So, my number 5 team, if I'm staying consistent here, is I've always said the deepest and the toughest division in the league is the NFC West. So, I'm going to say the Seahawks at number 5.
Already inconsistencies. Go ahead, man.
Seahawks are number 5 because they've only lost twice, of course. And I always said that the Seahawks are very dangerous. And at the end of the day, when San Francisco plays the Seahawks, and the Seahawks were to beat them 2 times out of the next 2 games that they play, because they've yet to play each other, obviously, they'd have the identical record. Okay, Seahawks at number 5, right? They only lost to Baltimore, and they've only lost to none other than New Orleans, who've only lost 1 game. So 2 quality losses against 2 quality teams. All right. Now, number 4, I got to put, San Francisco. San Francisco has actually not played to the level other than maybe say the Panthers.
Now you know he's
out there.
This clickbait right here, man. The boy said 4 is the 49ers.
Hey,
Where's the
listen,
bias
again, you can only play who's in front of you.
What?
But who you've played it has not been the top of this league.
Let me call my
They've yet
agent.
to play the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh,
They've yet to
Let's call
play
Scott Boras right now.
the Patriots. Whereas
I fucked up.
they haven't even played the New Orleans Saints, and whereas the Ravens and the Seattle and New England, they've all started playing each other, and you've seen what can happen when the top has played the top, which San Francisco has yet to play. All right, so again, Thanksgiving weekend, all that holiday, we're gonna see what San Francisco is gonna look like. Oh,
Somebody's gonna be eating a lot of turkey because they're gonna be depressed.
All right, yeah, right. I hope not. Number 3, I got to put is in front of the 49ers. Unfortunately, is the New England Patriots. New England was undefeated all the way through. Again, their schedule wasn't
number 3.
Number 3. They just lost to the Baltimore Ravens, one of the best quarterbacks in the game right now. Everybody in the sports sphere is talking about, is he the new prototype quarterback? Is that what they need to do now for the NFL? Is that what the type of player that they need to draft? So Lamar Jackson breaks a 27-game winning streak for the New England Patriots in beating a rookie or a second-year quarterback. Right? Think about that. That's impressive. All right. Now, so Baltimore at number 3. Their only losses.
I thought the Patriots are number 3.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Patriots. And so that means that Baltimore is at number 2 for me. Baltimore, actually, let's see. Their only losses, they've lost 2 with, where's it at? They lost to, unfortunately, the Cleveland Browns. One of Cleveland's 2 wins. But that, I mean, everybody has a bad game. And when I look at this list, if it's 1 loss, I'm not going to hold either of these teams against their record. So
The Chiefs.
That being said, the only other loss is to the Chiefs, another top tier team, because Patrick Mahomes was actually in that game. So, and my number one team is the New Orleans Saints.
I knew you were going to say that.
New Orleans Saints, to me, have only lost to 1 team in the entire NFL, going through the gauntlet of all these teams, right? Which was the Rams. But the Rams, remember this game. This game is the game that Drew Brees got injured. And for a team to lose their number 1 player and not lose any other game except for the game that he was injured in, which completely changes your game plan. That means the overall team has come up, stepped up defensively, offensively, even your backup quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater, has come through. So for a team to hold themselves together and to essentially go undefeated from that point of losing their quarterback, their franchise quarterback, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and Drew Brees, and be 7-1, they deserve to be number 1 on my top 5 list.
Real fast, kids, this is why it's important that you come prepared for anything that you do. I didn't write my list down, go on the top of my dome, and completely forgot about the New Orleans Saints just because, for whatever reason, I'm not going to make any excuses. But really fast, New Orleans should be number 1, hands down. I talked about that last week. New Orleans should be number 1. I think number 2 is Patriots. Number 3 should be the 49ers. Number 4 would still be the Seahawks. And who did I say was number 5?
You said the Packers.
The Packers.
See, the reason I don't put the Packers,
Put the Packers at number 5.
The reason I don't put the Packers is they barely win, right? What you saying?
No, I think who was his 5 originally? He just knocked out somebody. Anyway, it's fine.
Anyways,
I can't remember, guys. I'm sorry.
So yeah, like they lost to the Chargers. That was weak. And I can give you 1 game, but that's the second game.
Yeah, but but based off, I can admit that I messed up on my list because I didn't write it down. But you based off of inconsistencies, you just gave the Ravens a leeway because they had a bad game against the
Browns.
Browns, right?
Right.
But we can both agree that San Diego Chargers is a way better team than the Browns.
Yeah, I get that.
So you can't knock them losing to the San Diego Chargers because San Diego Chargers are still a really good team. Defensively, are a great team. They are.
No.
Okay.
I won't give you that one. But they also lost to the Eagles, who are below 500.
Again, that's another team that's actually pretty decent, but they've had injuries and okay, John, you always try to knock some teams down, man. But you know what? The damn Eagles would be the same team and knock your team out, the 49ers.
Ooh, man, that'd be the day. But not this year. Not this year. Not when you're 8-0. Not when they're 5-4. So hey, I'm pretty excited, but I'm reserving my excitement. I'm reserving.
You should.
Yeah,
should put that shit on ice.
I mean, to be honest with you, you make a lot of good points, and I agree with you. You know, the 49ers have not played the gauntlet of the top tier teams, so I'll give you that. But we're gonna see. After they play all those games out, and they still undefeated. Could we be talking about 16-0?
No.
Could we be talking about Super Bowl?
Oh my God! Somebody
Hey, listen,
stop
Jerry
this
Rice.
guy.
Jerry Rice has come out and already proclaimed them Super Bowl champs. 2009.
Whoa,
Well,
Jerry,
2000.
you don't want to do that, Jerry.
Hey, listen,
John,
listen.
the only
Jerry.
soup
Hey,
and bowl you're
he's
gonna
been
get
on
is a
3
chicken noodle from this depression when they don't even make that.
How many championship teams has Jerry Rice been on? I think he would know. I'm just saying. I just think he would know.
He had Joe Montana.
Okay, we got Jimmy Garoppolo.
Now, you know you don't believe that bullshit. You know you don't believe that bullshit.
All right. Whoo, that was fun.
What's Paul's top 5 teams? Because he probably
No, you can skip me. It probably was really just a mix of y'all two anyway. I'll tell you that I had New Orleans at my top.
New Orleans.
Yeah, okay.
We all agree New Orleans should be number 1 just because of what they've been through.
They're
All
just
right.
right now.
Man, thank you, man. It's hardly ever that Chris gives me the proper due of respect that I
Fool, you told me I
should
was
be.
crazy last year when I talked about the New Orleans Saints.
I did. I
Yes.
don't remember that. I'm getting
Probably not.
I'm getting I forgot to take my medicine. Anyways, this is the Sports Chat Podcast, and we cannot go without mentioning the Houston Rockets. Listen, Red Rowdies, stand up.
Don't stand
Red
up.
Rowdies, sit down.
Sit the fuck down. They're probably already sitting down.
The Rockets are 4-3, losing to the likes of Milwaukee, Brooklyn, and who was that third one? Jimmy Buckets and the Miami Heat. Ooh, that one hurt. That was of all the losses, that was the worst. But they are 4-3, right?
Yeah.
They were 2-5 last year. Look how they turned out. They didn't turn out too bad. Western Conference Finals, right? No. Second round.
Yeah, it's because they got Blizzik back and helped the defense. They were like shit. They were like dead second last in defense, and they're right back to where they're at again.
Well, we're third in offense, and I want to say we're tied for last in defense.
And if you watch every game, they can barely beat teams.
Now, do you think it's a product of Westbrook
No.
and Harden, or do you think it's a product of just, can I say it, D'Antoni's system?
I think probably the smartest thing Tillman has done yet as far as the Rockets go, it's probably the only smart thing he's done so far, is not extend or do anything with D'Antoni's contract. I mean, basically, it's like, you need to show me you can win. And right now, I mean, we're struggling to even make offensive adjustments in the game. You know what I mean? And I do think that it is.
But there's no what is the adjustment? No, I'm sorry to cut you off, but with the Houston Rockets, what else do they have? Like, this is one thing that bothers me about James Harden is can you adjust your game to the point where it's going to sway a different outcome? Because as of right now, we've lost in the second round. We've lost in the Western Conference Finals. We've come up short every time. So do we stay pat, which we obviously are? James Harden, surprise, leading the league in points per game, right? But at what point do you say, hey, you know what? Maybe for the sake of the offense and maybe for the sake of the defense, don't shoot long-range threes 20 times a game. That allows a fast break coming on the other side.
Man, you know, I really don't know what to say about the Houston Rockets, to be honest with you. Here's the thing. James Harden is, as from this point on, until I see a difference, his name is James Harwin, because there's no D.
James Harden.
Listen, it is undeniable. I've been the biggest James Harden, what would you call me?
I mean,
I've
you
defended
champion
James,
him up.
I defend him. I defend him to the D.
Yeah.
But what I've seen so far is a team that feels like, and this is just the attitude I feel like I'm seeing. I feel like a coach, D'Antoni, is not invested. I see his body language on the court. And him, of all people, calling his team soft, I'm sorry, that's a reflection of you, brothers. So you should be calling all of you guys soft. So he seems uninvested. I would think, and I told you this in a text the other day, that I think that from what I'm seeing from him, his body language and how he's acting, he's still sourpuss about the fact that he didn't get the extension that he felt like he deserved. I think that James Harden and Russell Westbrook are feeling like it's okay. We'll be able to get this together. But the problem is that this is not last year. This is a year where the teams are so good that being 4-3, right, feels like we're 0-7 because we're looking around the rest of the NBA.
Yeah, our wins aren't like versus quality players.
Right, and we're losing, and so you wonder with horrible transitional defense, with horrible shooting. I don't even know if it's a slump. I don't know what the hell's going on. I would think like all his fingers got broken or something, but Gordon has been horrible. Especially he was supposed to be coming off the bench to give us that extra 20 points off the bench. When you look at the whole team across the board, they just look like a team that doesn't seem prepared. And it just seems like a team that feels like it's okay that we're not playing good right now. It's just growing pains. James Harden said the other day, it's just growing pains, but we'll get it going. You don't have the ability like you did last year to not start off good and get it going. Because right now, they're what? 8th, 7th, 8th?
They're 7th. 17.
And look at the other records. So, and then when you look across to the West Coast and you see how good the Clippers are playing and how good the Los Angeles Lakers are playing, and I hate to even say that.
Yeah.
And seeing LeBron James on another level right now, back to his old days of playing defense, it makes you wonder, like, when is that sense of urgency going to start kicking in for the Rockets? And I'm going to tell you right now, the biggest weakness on our team besides defense is Clint motherfucking Capella. Clint needs to go like yesterday. He is a pushover. He plays weak. He just seems so undersized. And honestly, I get the fascination that we all had was he could run, he can go and get the dunks. But this kid plays like he's never been in the NBA.
It's weird. It's weird because you watch him play, and it's like he thinks to box out. It's not a natural motion. You know, like the ball goes up, he looks at the player, I'm going to box him out. Okay, I'm going to get in position. No, it's like the ball goes up, you naturally feel, I'm boxing you out. Khoa, you never want to play me. Anyways, so you box out naturally when you see other centers in the league, i.e. Tyson Chandler. It's immediately the ball goes up and they're looking up and they know where they're supposed to be already. Clint Capella literally takes a second, registers his mind, let me box out, and he sometimes it looks like he goes for the shortest guy.
No, he just, you know what it is? This is what it is. We all know there's that one person we've played with in any sport that doesn't like to be physical. He doesn't like to play physical. He's a Mahomes. He's finesse. The moment when smaller guys are rebounding over him, it's not because they're out hustling. They're just out physically, being out physical with him, and he can't. That's the reasons why.
It just I haven't seen the improvement I wanted to see.
No,
in
not
somebody
at all.
that you just gave $80 million to. You know, I hate to throw numbers out like that, but it's a fact, right? It's just like you extended him because you saw he was a potential talent, and he's yet to even progress. And that's what's the scariest thing for me, for Capella. But unfortunately, somebody asked Daryl Morey about trade. And he said that essentially he likes the team the way it is constructed right now. And trade isn't necessarily a viable option right now, not until December. So we're looking at this team for at least till December, even according to Daryl Morey. Now, I always stated that we needed to get off to a fast start, especially compared to last year, especially if we want to get good positioning in the playoffs. Well, unfortunately, the Lakers are number one, right? The Clippers are 5-2, just a game behind the Lakers. And lo and behold, the Suns of all teams are getting out to fast starts.
Do you remember when I told you about the Suns being a good team?
Hey, man. Devin Booker.
They got talent on that team, man.
And you know,
picking up Rubio was the smartest thing that organization did because now it takes the pressure off of that young man so he can just do what he does and not score and be like amazing.
Do you think that Golden State's going to make the playoffs?
Hell no. I don't think they want to make the playoffs.
Wow.
You know what I think Golden State is saying?
Wow.
Hey, you know what? We got this beautiful $1 billion stadium. One of our best players is out now. Our franchise player is going to be out for the next 3 or 4 months. Man, you know what? It might just be best that we pull the San Antonio Spurs thing, and just suck and get high draft picks like they did in the past.
Can you imagine what world would we be living in if you had Steph Curry at the point, you had Klay Thompson at the 3. You had probably Draymond at the 5. Who would fill in for a power forward? Anybody. Just fill in anybody but at the number 1 spot, LaMelo Ball coming out of LA to play for the Golden State Warriors. LaMelo Ball of all people. So should they suck for LaMelo? Oh, that sounded weird.
Get the hashtag going, guys.
So
Suck for LaMelo.
So yeah, no, that's completely a
You think
joke.
LaMelo's going to be number 1?
Yes. I mean, it's too much hype. If
There's so much
if
hype.
Lonzo could be number 2, LaMelo's number 1.
Okay, let me change it. Do you think, take the hype away, you think he deserves to be number 1? Because let me ask you something. What the fuck has he done? Is he playing for a major college right now?
But that's not necessarily. But the hype around any overseas players they played and they developed. Look at Luka Doncic. He's looking
LaMelo
amazing.
Really, LaMelo currently is playing in what?
I'll show you.
Australia. Mm-hmm. Okay, is he truly playing in a really tough overseas division where he can actually improve his game? Because right now, I think the hype is that in where the league that he's in overseas, he's the better talent because the talent is so weak. It's not like he's playing over there in Europe.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
I hate to say this again. I think this is becoming the theme of the night. But you can only play who's in front of you. He doesn't have that option. His dad already homeschooled him, took him out from high school, and he
can't go to college.
Option of going to college,
right? He fucked that up.
I mean,
I just think that somebody that there's a lot of really good, and by the way, shout out to the NCAA college basketball season because it started already, and you get your Carolina Tar Heels that we're always rooting for. There is a lot of talent in college basketball right now that to me is more deserving to be talked about as a first round pick.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how the NCAA pans out because of all the great talent that came out this year. Of course, Zion, who we've yet to see on the basketball court.
Who?
Zion.
Oh, I forgot about who that guy is.
And so you Cam Reddish, all these new cats when they come in NCAA. I don't necessarily think that LaMelo can't be knocked off because dude, all it takes is one tournament and you got the number 1 pick coming out of the University of, say, Kentucky, New North Carolina, or Duke, or whatever, of course. But LaMelo, as it stands right now, if they were to have a draft right now before the season's even started, LaMelo's number 1.
But see, that's just it. I don't think because of hype that you should really be like that should push you into the gravitational pull of being the first round pick. And this is why I've always said that I hate the fucking NBA draft.
Would you, okay, now that you look back on it, you're saying, okay, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. LaMelo Ball and the rest of the NCAA all in the draft, are you picking LaMelo Ball?
Hell no.
Okay, so you would essentially be the same person that wouldn't have picked up LeBron James.
Oh my God. Oh my God. For the first time in my life, I am about to I know you're fucking with me, man. You fucking with me, man. You're trying to get me to say good things about LeBron James, you sorry son of a bitch. Listen, you're comparing LaMelo to LeBron James.
Well, you didn't know what LeBron James was going to be.
John. LaMelo doesn't even have calves. LeBron James is a freak of an athlete. He could be a linebacker or a running back in football. He's a super athlete,
right.
A freakish athlete, 6'8".
Right.
Even when he came in, look how skinny he was. He was still
not
more
what he looks like not today.
but he was still more muscular than a lot of the NBA players. He was so big.
Yeah, he had a NBA body.
LaMelo Anthony looks like Gumby.
LaMelo Anthony. Gotta get these names right.
Man, I'm so tired, dude. What's LaMelo Ball?
Well, I mean, you don't know. It may be
I know.
appropriate at the end of the
Well, you're right.
Oh, is that foreshadowing? Of his
I
career?
don't know.
I just think
But
that-
I'm sorry, but I would take LaMelo Ball number 1. I would.
Why?
Somebody get this man an NBA team.
Dude, right? That's what I've been saying. Me and Chris have been going back and forth about who should be an owner, who should be a GM, and we've all agreed I should be at least the GM.
We argued. I remember arguing in the parking lot when I was coming out the hospital because you sit here and try to tell me that Lonzo Ball was going to be the next great point guard, and I kept trying to tell you that no, he's not.
He's a great point guard. He just doesn't shoot free throws, and that ends to him not being on the court on the fourth quarter. He's a good point guard. Actually, he'd be a great point guard.
Let me ask you
Just gotta
something.
make sure you hit
Did the
your free
Lakers
throws.
then have a chance to get Donovan Mitchell over Lonzo Ball?
Was that the same draft?
Yeah.
Oh snap!
There's a lot of players that didn't get drafted.
Hold on, no, it wasn't. Donovan Mitchell won Rookie of the Year though, right? I mean, you might be right, but anyways,
Lonzo Ball, Magic Johnson was on record saying that Lonzo Ball was going to be one of the great.
Yeah.
Nothing close to it.
Well,
Same thing. Liz, I will give you this. I think LaMelo Ball is a better player than Alonzo Mourning because he can shoot.
Alonzo Mourning? Is that what you said?
No, Alonzo Ball.
All right, guys. We'll get back to the NBA next
LaMelo
week.
Ball is so better.
We will get back
See,
to the
he's
NBA
so,
again.
This is the problem. He's so
It is
irrelevant to me.
okay.
I can't even get his name
That's
right.
fine.
Man.
We got plenty to talk about. Season is still young.
Just cut this shit out.
yeah.
Hey,
see,
just real quick though, where do you see percentage-wise Rockets finishing their season?
man, at this point, I think that they
How
are
many games do you think we're winning?
like fifth or sixth in the NBA. I think they're at this point standing pat. I think that they got fifth last year, right? Yeah, they're gonna be fifth this year.
I don't
Fifth or
think-
sixth. They lost to the Thunder at the very last game of the season and pushed them down to the sixth. Fifth.
From what I seen, if they don't get this shit together really fast, they might be the 8th seed.
8th seed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, the good thing is there are only 2 games, and it's gonna be like this. You know, the West always log jams at the top. It's gonna be like 1 or 2 games difference between 6 teams. You know, so I just at this point, when you talk about defense, when you talk about offense, yes, we are a very good offensive team, but when the Houston Rockets are giving up 123 points compared to the Lakers, who have the best defense apparently at 101. That means that in the playoffs or when it comes down to an important game, we can't make stops, and that's the most important thing when it comes to in general team sports. Can you make stops when you need to? And at this point, they can't. So I don't see them getting any better from 6th or 7th.
Woo! Be over 500, right? Barely?
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah, that's going to be tough.
But like again, like it's beginning of the season, so we'll see. But hopefully they turn around. Hopefully get some better defense. They did last year. They started 2-5. Right now we're sitting at least a little bit better than that by 2 games. But
I think the Astros open our eyes that our teams are not playing to their full potential. I think it's honestly to say, as constructed, that the Rockets should be playing way better than what they're playing. But again, I just harped on the Astros not being mentally prepared and ready to do what it takes when you have that talent to the next level. And right now, what I'm seeing from James Harden and Russell Westbrook and the rest of the players is a team that thinks they can just turn it on. And
right, yeah, true. That's a scary mentality.
And that is a very scary mentality, and it never ever ends up. You never end up being on the good side of that type of mentality. So that's what I'm saying. The Rockets could actually finish 8th and have to play the fucking Lakers in the first round, and that's not good.
Yeah, that at this point. So I kind of wanted to swing back to the NFL because last week I was 1 for 5.
What?
I'm sorry.
1 and 5?
1 and 5 in my top 6. My pick 6.
You were 1 and 5.
1 and 5. And so
Let's see.
that was my worst week after having my best week.
Chris was
5 out of 6.
1 and 5. Is that right? Yeah. And I was 1, 2, 3. Oh wait, you were 2 out of 5, or you were 2 out of 6.
Yeah,
I was 3 out of 6. Now, last week was tough. And what did I say about getting burned by the goddamn Cowboys once again?
Yeah, that was funny
Once again.
they needed a black cat.
Oh, when we gonna start doing this? Pass on or hold it down, whatever. I'm so tired. When are we gonna do that? Because I got a lot to say about Danny Dimes. That guy's a garbage ass quarterback.
Whoa. Okay.
All right, we're not
Sorry.
gonna do it for the whole segment, but go ahead, say your piece about the game.
Yeah. No, I want. So of course the Dallas Cowboys, they ended up winning in New York.
That's another garbage ass team.
Go down. Oh, where's that?
Yeah.
37-18. So they were losing in the second quarter, and the black cat comes out, stops the game for 10 minutes?
If you watch that game, first of all, NFL, you guys are full of shit with this whole red challenge on pass interferences. There've been 52 challenges for pass interference, and only 5 have been overturned. You know what that tells me? That tells me nobody knows what the fuck pass interference is in the NFL. Because everything that I know pass interference is, and what we see on the video, is not being overturned. And that's ridiculous to me. That's an inconsistency in the NFL. That's the reason why the New Orleans Saints didn't go to the Super Bowl last year, because that tells me that the referees do not know how to call pass interference. And that's because this is a more offensive-minded league. The NFL has been a more offensive-minded league in the last 15 years, and don't give the respect to defense at all. And to me, it's just ridiculous. Anyways, but there's all this hype about Danny Dimes. This kid is only hyped because they've had Eli Manning as the quarterback for the last couple of years. Even when he runs, yes, he is faster than Eli Manning, but he's still slow as fuck. He can't see he latches onto one player, and that's who he throws to. He doesn't scan the rest of the damn field. And not only that, but these two teams have the best running backs in the NFL, and they don't even use them. At this point, Dallas Cowboys, if you don't want Ezekiel Elliott, the Houston Texans will take him.
You know, it's so funny because
Dallas definitely used him.
the
New York didn't use him.
No, there were times where they could have just kept using him. What they'll do is they'll go to him and he'll get 10, 15 yards, and then all of a sudden they'll sit him down and throw in Pollard for no reason, just for another, 5-6 possessions. Or then Dak Prescott and his mediocre ass.
I really think that they champion him to be the face of the Cowboys when they know that he's not the best player on that team.
Dak Prescott?
Yeah.
Man.
I like that Prescott, don't get me wrong, but it just seems like he looks very good versus mediocre teams and just disappears versus good teams. It's weird how good he looks versus bad teams.
Did you watch the game last night? Either one of you guys?
Yeah.
I did watch a good amount of it, yeah.
It's frustrating. It was the most fun. I only watched that shit because
That's right.
I only watched this shit because I have two people that I needed to score points in the fucking fantasy
Evan
football.
Ingram, where were you at?
Same here. No,
You won. Shut up.
Khoa. He was open 3 times.
You telling me?
And Danny fucking Dimes. Danny. They should call him Danny Pennies because that's what he is.
All right, so let's just get into our pick sixes, man. So I wrote down these games real quick. L.A. Chargers. I still want to say San Diego.
Well, real quick, let's go ahead and I know we mentioned it briefly, but we'll just run over the last week's games. So we all chose Vikings to beat the Chiefs. That was not the case. Me and Chris picked Eagles to beat the Bears, and got that one. Me and John picked Niners to beat the Cards. Got that one.
Can only play who's in front of you.
We all got burned, of course, by the Cowboys once again. Me and John picked the Patriots, in which Ravens took it.
Good
Patriots
call on that
only
one, Chris.
loss. And am I going to get a good call for this one? Or
Which one?
Because the Texans beat the Jaguars.
No, you don't get a good call because that's a perennial pick. That you're gonna pick that
You're always
even
gonna
if you
pick
think
Texans.
they're gonna lose.
Yeah, what?
What? Yes, it's an easy pick for you
How
every
is that-
time.
No, I saw that as an easy pick because I don't think that the fucking Jaguars are going to beat them.
Dude,
Did you really thought that?
I'm not gonna give you credit on something you would have picked anyways had they
I
played.
So if I would have fucking picked the Jags, would have made you happy?
No.
Oh, God.
No.
Let's move it along.
Qua, I give you
Dude,
credit
I don't
for
care, man. Whatever.
Qua.
Fucking no respect, dude.
Qua, I was with to give you props.
Nah, man. No, move it along.
You picked.
Go.
I'm on your side, Qua.
All right, Chargers versus the Raiders.
This person is beating all y'all's asses this fucking year.
He is kicking our asses, man.
Damn, dude, I just don't get that.
And for that, when have you picked against the 49ers the whole year? You haven't. So I don't want to hear that either.
That's not true.
No, you haven't.
I just haven't. We haven't always featured them.
John, when we featured him, have you picked against him?
I've been right every time.
Oh, now you want to play that card? Man, put some respect on Qua's name.
Anyways,
What are the games?
so you got the Chargers versus the Raiders. It's a hard West Coast pick. But
Thursday night.
Thursday
That's
night
pretty much
football.
a toss-up. Or they got Chargers by 1. This is going to be at Raiders. At Oakland. While Oakland's still last.
Making these picks hard on purpose.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Are your two favorite teams?
I don't have no favorite team in the NFL, man. I'm trying to figure out real fast, why did they move the San Diego Chargers, where they had a fan base, to Los Angeles, where no one gives a fuck about them?
The stadium gets filled by the opposing team's fans.
That's what I'm saying. That's the dumbest thing in the world. Anyways, just for
the
that,
smallest stadium in all of football.
just for that reasons, Oakland's gonna win. Because whether it's in Oakland or wherever the San Diego wherever the Los Angeles Chargers are playing, they obviously have no fans. So I think that
Oakland fans are going to come out for this game.
Mm-hmm. And don't forget where the Raiders also used to be. Los Angeles.
Jesus. It's going to be.
I mean, LA's had everything.
I'm going with the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, I'm going Raiders, man. I think Raider Nation is going to kick it in. They had a really actually good showing last week.
Man,
Boy, Jacobs,
I obviously
Alabama. Try to tell everybody.
I can't pick against Khoa at this point.
Yeah, because he knows more than
No,
you, bitch.
Pick whatever you want.
Yeah, no, he needs to say that. He needs to put some respect in your name.
But I'm going to stand by my picks.
Qua, he knows. Qua knows more about shit than you do, John, you dumbass.
That's not true. That's not true.
I think so.
Thanks, though.
You're welcome. Will you marry me?
Anyway,
Out of all times you could have done it, you selfish motherfucker.
right.
It is selfish.
All right. So
Next game, John.
another tough game.
Wait, who did you pick, John?
Oh, Oakland. I can't pick against you.
We got 5 more picks. You bound to pick against me. One of these picks.
Well, I got to make up this gap some way.
All right.
Anyways, so the next game, Detroit featuring, Detroit Lions at the Chicago
The
Bears.
Chicago Bears? I agree.
Oh,
Dang. the
Chicago's
Chicago
favored
Bears,
by about 2.5 points.
2.5 points.
The Bears are up 2.5 points. Man, that tells you how sorry these fucking teams end up becoming.
Who do you trust more, Drew Bisky or Matt Stafford?
I'm gonna go with Matt Stafford on this one. I got the underdogs here, Detroit Lions.
They shouldn't even be an underdog. Matter of fact, this game should just be even.
Right?
This doesn't even make sense. I don't know what the fuck Vegas is thinking
If
about.
you're a betting man, put that money on the Detroit Lions, man. You're getting 2.5 points.
Where's it
Extra.
at?
Chicago.
Is it Chicago?
Soldier.
So who you got? Chris.
I got the Bears.
Ooh, I figured he was gonna do it.
It's in Chicago after the loss that they had in Philadelphia. I think they're gonna play. I think they're come playing pretty hard. And Detroit, every time you want to root for Detroit and they're in position to win these games, they end up losing these fucking games. And they shouldn't because they have talent, man.
Yeah.
So, and their running game right now is fucked up. And we thought they would use their receivers a lot more, and they struggled with that. So I'm gonna go with Chicago. I think it's gonna be like probably one of the worst games on the fucking
3-0.
It probably will be. It'll be some shit like
not.
2-5.
And that'll
Some
barely
shit like
cover the damn line.
Yeah, man.
Oh.
I got
Who you got, Khoa?
Bears. Fucking.
I don't. It's embarrassing to say, but I mean, I got to go with Chris on this one, man. I think
It's a
it's embarrassing to say.
Is it embarrassing because you're agreeing with me?
I'd be lying if I told you.
Wait. Are you saying is you embarrassing because you're agreeing with me, or just the fact that you're picking?
You just miss all the jokes. You just miss all the jokes. Just drink some coffee, Chris. Okay. Yeah.
I'm so lost.
His puns are just ridiculous right now. Embarrassing.
I'd
be lying.
I'm going with the Bears.
All right,
For the bounce back.
Bears.
And, I got royally screwed by them last week, definitely with starting like Allen Robinson and Gerrit Cole and whatnot.
I get it. Embarrassing.
I need the bounce back.
I get it now, you fucking asshole. I'm tired, guys.
You just got this. Okay, anyways, now from one bad game to the next bad game.
Damn, we just doing all bad games? These are the worst games ever. You're purposely doing this so you can try to catch up with points, you jackass.
Not at all. It's just
I
like
hope you strategically lose.
What me and Khoa decided to do when we're doing these pick sixes for everybody to understand is we're not going to try to pick out blowout games. Like, for instance, Baltimore versus the Cincinnati Bengals.
Unless one of us has a good case for the underdog.
Right.
That's fine.
You want Cincinnati?
No, I feel like we've been doing nothing, but we're doing underdogs versus underdogs.
But it gets better. It gets better. It gets better.
Yeah,
So,
we'll see next
at least this is from the West Coast to the East Coast. This next game is the New York Bowl.
He said it gets better.
Mono versus Danny Pennies.
Look at MetLife Stadium. Here we come.
Mono versus Danny Pennies.
Who's the home team?
Jets.
So it was a joke, man. Why I gotta get your joke?
Oh, I see.
Embarrassing.
I see.
But you can't get mine. Okay. Anyways, New York Giants.
Drink some coffee, Khoa.
At the New York Jets. New York Jets are favored by 2 points. Chris, gun to your head, because I know apparently at this point
Giants are favored by 2 points.
Oh, the Giants. I'm sorry, 2.5.
Man, these are garbage ass teams. I just had to watch. Listen, I just had to watch the Giants, right? And then I actually watched the Jets the other day too. These teams are horrible. Oh my God, this is the battle of the shit bowl.
Yeah, amen.
You know what? You New York fans, you deserve these shitty ass
But you
teams for
don't
being
see this
shitty
every-
ass fans.
You don't see this game played out too much.
When is where? Oh shit. Fuck.
Can't even finish the statement.
Man, you know what? I'm gonna go with the Giants because at least they have. I'm gonna go based off of talent.
Okay.
The most talented player on both these teams plays for New York.
Oh, okay, man.
That's Saquon Barkley. If they just give him the ball, they've already traded one of their best defensive players to the New York Giants, which didn't even fucking make sense. And
That's
I like.
true.
I
always thought that was cool. You know, you don't have to move. You just got to go across the field.
And then Le'Veon Bell may not even play. So I don't even. It's not that they even use his ass anyways. So
see,
man, this
listen,
team's-
I'll pick the Giants because I feel like Daniel, what's his name?
Daniel
Jones is actually a good quarterback.
Danny Dimes.
do you know Danny Dimes?
He said Danny Quarters.
Danny Pennies is garbage.
Okay,
Damn.
Daniel Jones will figure it out. He's a rookie. You see little, moments of special, or you see special moments in him. Now, has he had the ability to put it together? Not necessarily a full, complete game, but he's won him a couple games. I mean, can you honestly say that he's not better than Eli? No.
Anything's better than Eli.
Oh, well, hey, man.
You
I
a
think
quarterback's better than Eli.
When you think about franchise quarterback, he's the franchise quarterback.
No, I don't think he's a franchise quarterback. I think he is garbage shit.
Convince me.
You know what? I'm going with the Jets. I'm going with mono.
Wait, this is your pick. You talking shit about your own pick?
Convince me to pick the Jets, Chris.
I'm going with the Jets.
All right.
I'm going with. You know what? I'm going with another shitty ass score. I believe in Donald before I believe in Danny Jones.
Please. I'm going with Giants. Whatever.
I was hoping to
No, I mean,
All right.
Loser Bowl 2.0.
Finally. If that wasn't enough, now we're starting to get a little bit better in competition.
Are we sure about that?
Yes. Carolina Panthers travel to Green Bay to face the Packers, and Green Bay is favored by 5 points. Now, Carolina has decided that they may never want to see Cam Newton again. And speaking of franchise quarterbacks, the Carolina Panthers have decided to go with I forget the guy's name. Kyle Allen. There you go. It's a little late. Anyways, so Carolina Panthers have decided to go with Kyle Allen, probably for the foreseeable future because Cam Newton's on the DL. Probably will never play again for the Panthers. And they're going to face
Chris called it.
Yeah, I did, man. Said he ain't gonna play. He ain't gonna play for the rest of the season. I don't think, honestly, have you ever gotten a chance to watch his YouTube channel, Cam Newton?
I did, but I turned it off.
I don't think Cam Newton gives a fuck about playing football. Period.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
I watched a little bit when he talked about like he showed like his stylist in his like wardrobe in his closet and how much time he spent doing that. I was like, God damn, dude.
Yeah.
I don't think
how much money and time are you investing in that and not on the field? I was like, dude.
Obviously.
You know what? That's one thing that I've always heard when they speak about the top of the top. You got to be a little lost in it. You got to be a little psycho about it. And I think that his focus is no longer.
It's not to hear. It reminds me of what was I can't. What was a great running back that came out of UT that played for New Orleans?
Ricky Williams.
He reminds me so much of Ricky Williams. Not in the standpoint of because Ricky Williams on some other shit, but that he's very eccentric. And Ricky Williams, you could just tell he just didn't want to play football anymore. And just from his attitude, it just seems like he doesn't care.
Right.
I don't know.
You might be right. So, Packers are the Panthers with the new franchise quarterback in Kyle Allen.
Packers win this, especially after the game that the Packers had to endure last week against the Chargers, whatever city they're from. So I got the Packers.
I'm gonna go with Aaron Rodgers kicking them in the butt a little bit, getting them back on track, and getting Green Bay back in the winning side.
But I do say McCaffrey fucking goes off again.
He always does.
McCaffrey's a beast.
He's my MVP so far.
Hell yeah.
I'm looking for the upset in this one. I'm gonna go Panthers.
Whoa! Finally, thank you. So I can get another win under this guy.
I still believe in the Packers. I think Aaron Rodgers still one of the goats.
No. We good. You already wrote it down.
But no. I'm just saying. I'd still stand by my pick. I'm not saying they're a better team, but I think they'll edge it out, dude.
Now, this is the game of the week according to America's team, but this will actually tell me who's real and who's fake. Minnesota travels to Dallas, Texas, and plays the Dallas Cowboys Sunday Night Football, and Dallas is actually favored by 3 points. Now, not saying that either team is great, not saying that either team is bad, but this will actually tell me if the Minnesota Vikings are a real team or the Dallas Cowboys are actually the real team.
Sorry, guys. I had to just think about how sorry this game is going to be, too. Record-wise, I get why this might be the game of the week. But, man, Minnesota is so unpredictable right now. Thielen looks like he may not come back. And it seems like that.
Damn, he's on my fantasy.
It just seems like they just struggle immensely when they should be doing a lot better. I mean, they're just underplaying themselves. And then Dallas, man,
they're hoping for another black cat, man.
they're like the most bipolar team in the whole NFL.
That's true.
You just do not know what the fuck Cowboys team you're going to get. And this is in Dallas?
Dallas.
I'm going to tell you something. I think there's more of an important win for Dallas to win than it is Minnesota because Philadelphia is right behind Dallas, chomping at the bit to try to win that division. So I think Dallas wins.
Oh.
Man, I really, really want to choose Dallas. I just can't. I Minnesota, to me, from top to bottom, just seems a little bit more sturdy. Like you said, Dallas Cowboys are bipolar. I think they're high on a win that they won against the Giants. On honestly, they were horrible in the first quarter. They were losing up until, I mean, I'm joking when you talk about the black cat, but up until the black cat showed up on the field, they were losing. They went in halftime losing. So nobody's thinking that the Giants are a good team.
I just think Minnesota should have beaten the Chiefs, and they didn't.
Exactly.
That's and the thing is, Dallas, I felt like they were going to come out and not play as good as they should because they had the layaway off or whatever. You can't go wrong with picking either of these teams.
Right, but Dallas Cowboys have beat the Giants, the Redskins, the Dolphins, the Giants again, and their only quality win has been the Eagles. So I don't know what they.
You can only play who
I know, but what I'm saying
John.
is, within saying that, you don't know if they're really a good team. So I'm gonna go with the Minnesota Vikings, man. They barely lost to the Chiefs, and which I think they could have won without Thielen. So who you got, Khoa?
This is really a toss-up to me.
Garbage.
I definitely do not want to ever pick Dallas. I mean, yeah, Dallas came off a game where they pulled it off. Black Cat win. That's always going to be the Black Cat game. Minnesota lost a game they should have won. Who's going to be more motivated? Who's going to play better? I think I'm going to go with Minnesota on this one.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I just think they're more complete. I actually do really like Kirk Cousins. I know he is up and down as well. But when he gets hot, I think he plays great. So, and of course, they still have, again, like the last week, two of the best running backs in the game. Again, this week, two of the best running backs in the game.
Ooh, good point. Dalvin Cook versus Zeke. You think Zeke is going to finally win you a game in fantasy?
No. And the reason why is the Cowboys do not care to give the best player on their team the ball more than they want to put the ball in Dak Prescott's hands.
Gave him the money already. Why not give him the ball?
Because that's just it. They don't want to. I don't know, man. Cowboys are stupid.
Oh, hold on. John's excited for the next game.
The actual game of the week.
Oh.
The actual NFC, I want to say NFC West Bowl happening in their own backyard. Seattle Seahawks travel to San Francisco 49ers. A 6-2 team versus an 8-0 team. 7-2 team versus an 8-0 team. Gonna see if the 49ers is a real deal. Gonna see if the 49ers can actually gain the respect of Christopher Rodriguez and the rest of the NFL public.
I put them at 3. You got my respect defensively.
All right, let's see how much respect you really have.
Oh, we already know what's going to happen here.
Seattle Supersonics. Seattle Seahawks versus the 49ers. Who you got, Chris?
I'm going to let you go first, John.
Oh.
Okay. Listen. Russell Wilson is the best quarterback playing right now up to this point. Right? Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, they're right there. But what he did last week, 5 touchdowns. Comeback. You got Tyler Lockett, one of the best wide receivers going right now. Whoever picked him up in fantasy is blowing up. DJ Metcalf, best rookie wide receiver going right now. And they just picked up Josh Gordon. Josh Eric Gordon. I don't know what he's gonna look like, but I guarantee you he's gonna look better than he did on the Patriots. With that being said, the 49ers are the real deal.
Oh.
49ers front four.
The build-up.
Ooh.
God.
Ooh. That running core. They have their fullback back. Since their fullback came back,
Fuck, he's talking about a fullback.
You know when their fullback got injured? Your boy went off. Tevin Coleman went off. after he was out for a week, Tevin Coleman didn't do you too well, did he? He's coming back this week. Don't worry, Chris. If Ezekiel can't win you this next week, I got my boy Tevin Coleman coming back for you. He'll win you. He'll carry you. If he has to, he'll carry you this team. All right. So Tevin Coleman with 2 touchdowns. Jimmy Garoppolo with 2 touchdowns. Wow. 35-21.
He's even
San
calling his
Francisco over
He's even
the
calling his
Seattle
score.
Supersonics.
35-21. Write it down.
Hey,
so you don't
San
forget.
Francisco almost favored by a touchdown, 6.5. It's in
John,
San Francisco.
John, can I ask you a question? Who do you think is going to be the most motivated in this game?
The 49ers.
You really think so?
Yeah, 100%.
100%?
100%.
You sure?
Yes.
Oh, interesting, because I've watched this matchup play out for the last couple of years, me and you both. And if there's any,
it ain't your daddy's Seahawks.
No, but it's still John's 49ers. So with that being said, I told you there was going to come a time and place where Garoppolo will have to win the 49ers again.
Last week.
Again. Who'd they play? Okay. Anyways.
He can only play who's in front of him.
Yes. Anyways, with that being said, I don't believe in Garoppolo, and I sure in the hell don't believe he's going to be a better quarterback than Russell Wilson. And I don't give a damn how good you think your defense is. Russell Wilson has played against many really good defenses, even defenses that have been better than the 49ers. Matter of fact, you've had past teams they've played against that were, to me, a better defensive team than what the defense is today for the 49ers.
Who?
You guys did go to the Super Bowl that one year, right?
Oh, past in the past. I thought you meant this season.
I'm talking about the past, John. So Russell Wilson is the real deal.
Right.
If I had to pick on who's a bigger real deal, the 49ers or Russell Wilson, it's definitely Russell Wilson. And I'm going to tell you something right now. Just as much as you guys have been foaming from the mouth to play the Seahawks so you can prove who's the best, don't think for 1 second that the Seahawks have been sitting there waiting to play you guys. And I don't care. You and I both know that the Seahawks always come out and play the 49ers. Even when the 49ers weren't even, even when the Seahawks weren't
This is
even
a big rivalry.
a good team, they would always play you guys hard. So I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to be really disappointed next week. Because not only are the Seahawks going to win, but I wouldn't be surprised Russell Wilson has a bigger game than what he had last week. Because now that you've given him more weapons, and the fact that he really wants to beat the shit out of you guys, but here's the equalizer. Who has a better coach? Pete Carroll is a better coach than your sorry-ass coach over there in San Francisco. So I know for a fact that...
Didn't we just talk about how Marshawn Lynch didn't get the ball at the goal line? I'm just saying, like, we're talking about coaching here.
He's still a great coach.
Okay.
Regardless.
All right.
Let me ask you something, John. How many championships have the 49ers gotten in the last decade?
None.
Exactly. How many have the Seahawks gotten?
1.
That's 1 more than you, so shut the fuck up. Pete Carroll is going to go in there, and he's going to make sure he game plans correctly. I don't even think you guys put 15 points on the board.
You know what? What? Okay. This we got. If we can, next Monday, let's meet up. All right. I want to see your face after this game. But you just said what? How many points?
I don't even think you guys put up 15 points on the
15
board.
points. All right. Let me look. So the only time that they even allowed somebody to not score more than 10 points was the Cardinals, who scored exactly 10. Every other one has been in the 20s, 30s, 20s, 30s. The Ravens, 30. But they see, this is what I'm saying. That's not, you're still thinking about the Seahawks of the past.
No.
Which is fine.
I'm not thinking about I'm not thinking about the Seahawks
The
of
only
the past.
person that's still on that same team, unfortunately, isn't Earl Thomas, isn't Marshawn Lynch, isn't even Richard Sherman.
It's Wagner.
Where'd he go again? 49. Okay.
It's Wagner.
Is it the 49ers one of the best defenses in the league?
Man,
okay.
I forget about this.
So you talking about
the
motivation?
grudge match.
Trust me. If there's anybody that was against Russell Wilson, it was Richard Sherman. If anybody knows Russell Wilson and his tendencies and what he likes to do, it's Richard Sherman.
And anybody that knows how Richard Sherman plays, it's Russell Wilson.
Okay.
But
it's not.
That's
the
you
thing.
just said he's the best quarterback in the game. See, you can't. Let me tell you something. You can't sit here and shit on Russell Wilson and the Seahawks and Pete Carroll when you know for a fact, and the reasons why I said they're not going to put up 15 points on the Seahawks is the fact of how tight and how good the Seahawks play the 49ers every fucking year. And you just sit here getting all hyped up in your little 8-0 squad that hasn't played anybody is about to see how really good or not that good you guys really are.
All right. I'm just saying, like, the Seahawks have lost for a reason.
Oh, God.
And the 49ers are about to lose for many reasons.
Khoa, break this tie. Who you got, Khoa? Who you got?
I really feel like most people are going to see this as 49ers as the underdogs. I feel like most people are going to have the same train of thought.
Dun, dun, dun.
that-
Monday night.
Yeah, that Seahawks are going to take it. But, so before I pick real quick, I got two funny little fun facts about this matchup or whatever. One was I was actually in Seattle the moment that they won the game this past week.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a nice airport.
my
The
layover.
layover.
Oh, it's a really nice airport. My layover
it's
was
tight.
in Seattle. I remember I was like, man, these bars are like really full right now. I was walking to my gate.
It's a dope airport over there.
And then I was like, oh shit, football's on right now. And I was like trying to check scores and shit on the airplane, but I couldn't get anything. So anyway, I was walking by, and then I walked by a gift shop and had a TV on it with like right in front was like all these jerseys, like Russell Wilson, and it went out, and that was like the moment they won that overtime. So that was awesome. And then another moment, which I never realized this rivalry, that people even, I guess, really cared about it, until it was that Super Bowl. I forget the exact Super Bowl, but the one that was Patriots versus Seattle. This is the same one that we're talking about. Where Seattle had goal line ready to win, but then threw a pick to Malcolm Butler. So that was actually we had a bunch of guests, friends from out of town, from the Bay Area, all from like San Francisco area, right? But for whatever reason, we were watching the game, and everybody's being like real low key about who they were like rooting for. They weren't really being vocal about who they were rooting for, one way or the other. And then the second that interception happened, they erupted like I never would have believed, because they were diehard Niner fans. And
Oh, I don't like that.
what?
I don't like that. When you cheer so hard for a team to lose.
Yeah, well,
That's the
they're
Yankees.
already not in the. They're already not in the Super Bowl. I mean, it's
yeah,
just like,
but I'm not gonna cheer another team.
Yeah, well,
Nah.
then don't be a Yankees fan. Yeah, but anyway,
Yep, that's them.
whether that's the common thread or not, but I was like, wow.
Oh, it's
Okay,
it's
okay, damn. I was like, it's like maybe, and then I thought it's like maybe it's the same thing if someone saw me watching a Cowboys game, not knowing whether I'm a fan or not, and then I'm just, balling all out whenever they lose. I'm like, yeah. I was like, I can see that. I can see that. It makes sense.
Oh,
So-
don't get you. To me, this is probably the best rivalry in the NFL for the last, I would say maybe the last 8 years.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I had to give it up to the Seahawks because they won the Super Bowl, went back to the Super Bowl, and when it came down to the 49ers or the Seahawks, it just always seemed like the Seahawks had the number on the 49ers. But again, this ain't your mama's 49ers. This ain't your daddy's Seahawks.
All right, well, I'm going to say it is. I'm still going Seahawks.
Woo! Okay, this is the week I catch back up to Khoa.
Yeah, good luck to you, good sir, but
I'll make a bold.
you're going to lose.
I'll make a
I
bold.
really feel good about my picks this week.
You shouldn't. I'll make a bold. I'll make a bold prediction though. Not only does Seattle come into San Francisco and put the brakes on this. This is not your mama's 49ers. But I will say this. They will play the villain. Seattle will go in there and play upset. San Francisco get the first loss. But I see San Francisco going back in Seattle and beating them in Seattle.
Okay, all right. I
So
want
I
you to
will
keep
see
that
that.
same energy. What?
Never mind.
No, well, you know what? No, because
No, never mind.
The
I take-
49ers are going to have the division locked up. So
No.
they
Time
win
out.
this one. They may
Stop
lose.
making promises now you ain't going to be able to keep.
No.
Because he's
time
already
out.
taking it back.
Time out. No. No. I really believe that, but then I looked at his face. And now I'm like, I don't fucking believe it anymore. What? You ruined it all.
So, anyways, I told you it was gonna get better. I don't know, man. Anything else we gotta add to the show? Because I think this
we had a long ass show.
Some of the shit we're gonna cut
thank
out.
y'all for probably not. Well,
We need to cut out some of this.
We may cut
we'll see.
something.
But the Astros, we had to cover the Astros. That was a special in
It's
itself.
okay. Real quick, let's just cover the two big fights of the weekend. We had UFC 244. Masvidal taking Diaz, and also Canelo Alvarez taking it over. Who did he beat?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So can I just say this? All right. So Canelo and Sir
Elton John?
No, Sergey something. Kovalev. So Canelo Alvarez and Kovalev, the entire arena stopped, and they actually showed the fight on the jumbotron on the screen of the Masvidal Diaz fight, and they had Canelo and oh boy in the back waiting for the UFC fight to finish in order for their fight to start. Tell me that's
wait. So you're saying UFC fight went first?
Yeah.
So they were waiting. Boxing was waiting for UFC fight to finish so they can start.
You see how that sounds?
Why? To get the numbers?
Well, I have no idea, but the UFC is officially on the map, and I can almost definitively say that at this point, overall, UFC is a bigger sport than boxing. Now, boxing may have events here and there, but Canelo, you didn't even know who he was fighting.
That's true.
I
just saw him getting
this
knocked
is
Look out.
This was also a non-title fight. Yeah, they made up some BMF belt, but it was a non-title fight. Diaz and Masvidal put this show on and outsold boxing. Now, the fight itself wasn't the best, but I will say this. It looked like it was an early stoppage. The doctor came in, said the cuts on Diaz's face were too dangerous for the fight to keep going. Masvidal technically gets a win, but Diaz almost always gets cut. He's scarred up for thousands of fights that he's been in. Diaz was losing a fight. Diaz got cut by actual elbow, punch, or whatever. It wasn't like an accidental. And at that point, yes, I was upset that the fight got stopped, but in the end, I think it was safe to say Masvidal would have won anyways, regardless. He was outboxing, outclassing Nate Diaz, and Diaz literally would tell Masvidal to come down to him because Diaz would get rocked, lay down, and try to get Masvidal to come down so he could fight Diaz on the floor, which Masvidal knows that Diaz is a better floor general and jiu-jitsu fighter than he is. So,
yeah,
I don't know. But overall, it was a good card. Chris, I know you're upset that Masvidal won, but it was still entertaining.
He said he liked him better than Diaz. I thought. Is that what you said?
No, I don't like Masvidal as a person, but I said like the last show that he's obviously a very skillful fighter. But his personality to me could easily get him in trouble too. So I don't know, man. I just thought this. I was expecting more, and I will say this: you're saying that Masvidal was gonna win, but you can't beat something you can't kill. And no matter how many hits that he gave Diaz, it reminded me so much of when Conor McGregor was rocking his ass, and you thought he just doesn't die.
Right.
I thought about you. I was like, man, I hope they took Diaz to the fucking hospital just to check to make sure he's okay. Like, there's no, clots or anything like that. But this is just who he is. Look at his face and his personality. There's no one that can endurance and take more pain and just still be in it.
He still wanted to fight.
And the thing about it is like you felt like even towards the end, before they called the fight, like he was starting to pick up rhythm. Like he was waiting for the 4th and 5th round. Yeah. And
says, yeah.
Who's to say that? Because I mean, he got a couple of good shots on Diaz, but who's to say that? Because you started seeing at one point Diaz was kind of wearing down a little bit, getting a little bit tired, and he backed off when he had him on the ground. He was, like, who's to say that Diaz doesn't win? And just unfortunately, it's unfortunate that it was stopped over some stupid shit like that.
Yeah. I mean,
technically it had to be, I guess. I mean, I can't argue against a doctor because I don't have an MD. But I felt like I've seen way worse cuts than that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So I don't know, man.
Did you get to watch it?
I did not. We were filming our event then, and it was a 3-hour time difference. So by the time the event started, it was right when like the fight was starting. So I was like, oh great.
All in all, man, I just think that shows you how far the UFC has come, especially on good cards, good fights, good fighters. It doesn't happen all the time, but in this instance, for them to essentially affect the boxing matchup, probably the highest draw at this point in boxing, and Canelo Alvarez, that says a lot of where the UFC is. Mm-hmm. And going forward, man, I want to see this fight again. I do. I don't feel like we got a good real finish to see who the baddest motherfucker is. Hey, props to Masvidal. I do want to see Masvidal and Conor McGregor eventually one day. I'd like to see Diaz again versus Conor McGregor, but
though it seems like Dana White doesn't want that to happen.
Yeah,
he feels like Conor McGregor is too small.
Well, is that true?
I don't know. I'm asking you. I mean, I
don't know. I mean, like, no. I'm saying like
he says that Dana White doesn't want that to happen because he feels like Conor is just too small and that it just won't be
a fair fight.
But he let him get in the ring with fucking Diaz, which doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So
Diaz used to fight at 270 is not a weight class. Dude, 270 is
270.
Yeah,
that's super heavyweight.
No, it's not. I mean, I'm sorry, 170. It's not a weight class. It's not. There's not a belt for 170.
I think
Conor fights at 155. He started at 145, but his natural fight weight is 155. Diaz is fought at 155, but Diaz couldn't get in shape fast enough to get 155, so they made him fight at 170. That's when Conor McGregor lost to him. So Conor McGregor wanted the same situation, same weight to prove to everybody he could beat Diaz at 170. That's the only reason he even fought at 170. Masvidal and Diaz, they just fought at 170. There's no weight class at 170.
I don't know. I mean, Diaz has already caught him a little and called him short and small, and he can't. I mean,
I thought 170 is middleweight. No.
I think it's 185. Yeah. Something like that. You can look it up.
Because 215 is light heavyweight, right?
205 is light heavyweight.
205. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. We'll look it up later.
But, anyways, you got anything else?
That's all I got.
No.
Hell yeah, I got something.
What?
Oh, no. He's going to propose.
Fuck no. This is my time, bitch. I'm selfish as fuck. Listen, we don't ever talk about college football. And sometimes it breaks my heart.
But no, yeah, hell yeah.
But we have one of the big, if not the biggest game in college football. Mm-hmm. Number 1 versus number 2.
I'm sorry, I forgot about that.
So happens to be LSU versus Alabama. This is for all the glory because whatever team loses probably doesn't make the playoffs. Sad to say. But man, it's a tough one because LSU is
Tua might be coming back.
We
Game
hope.
Time decision.
If he doesn't come, they're not winning.
Oof.
Damn.
They have too many freshmen on defense. Alabama, this has been a tough year. They've been winning due to all the injuries.
They're both undefeated, though, right?
They are undefeated, but Alabama is putting up maybe, 2 or 3 more points more offensively than LSU, but that tells you how good LSU has come offensively.
Yeah,
they have a good defense, and I feel like they have something to prove. This is going to be a really, really good game if Tua plays. If Tua doesn't play, LSU's going to win. So, I don't know how to feel about this game. I won't know until I know if Tua's playing or not. But I can tell you, if Tua's playing, I'm picking Alabama to win by like a field goal.
Oh, wow.
That's how tight this game's going to be.
Wow.
I think it's going to be crazy. I think it's probably been the biggest.
But it's in LSU. It's at
Alabama.
Oh, it's in Alabama?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think this might be the highest scoring SEC game in a long time because the teams can match each other offensively. But if it turns out to be Tua's not playing, sorry, Jones is not good enough to beat LSU's defense. So,
well, what's the kid's name out of LSU? The quarterback? I hear he might be going number one.
He's probably going number one. He's pretty good, man. That's all they ever needed the last couple of years was a quarterback. They got a great running game. They got a great defense. It was bound to happen for LSU to get back to
Joe Burrow.
It was bound for them to get back to where LSU used to be. They've just struggled because they haven't had a quarterback. But man, it's gonna be a good test for Alabama if they have Tua. But if they don't have Tua, womp womp.
Man, that's the one thing about SEC football, man. Y'all get good games, but you kind of screw each other when it comes to that college playoff.
Should Georgia just beat Florida? That put them up higher now. And sad because I was really hoping that we'd get that Alabama versus Oklahoma, but then Oklahoma fucked around and lost.
Man, I was so frustrated.
Fucked around and lost against who they lose to? They lost to what? NC State? I can't remember, man. But yeah, man. Oklahoma all the way down to number 9, man. That's just horrible. So
Kansas State.
Kansas State, there we go. So yeah.
Wildcat.
But all right, man. Yeah, no, the college football season probably gets a little bit more clear as far as the playoff goes from this game alone.
By the way,
I don't like not having Alabama in the playoffs. That to me, they're the barometer. To me, you either beat them to become the champion or they are the champion.
listen, if they can find a way to beat LSU, and Tua comes back, then I think Tua is now officially in the driving seat for the Heisman Trophy.
You know, also one thing that bothers me about the SEC teams, not about the SEC teams, but like when two teams are undefeated like that and they play in the middle of the season, and then one eventually goes into the playoffs and the other one goes to a regular bowl. When they lose in that regular bowl, it's like it gives validation that team shouldn't have made the playoffs. I think that's not correct.
That's not correct at all.
I think that they have their hopes set on national champions to go and play in a regular bowl game is like, you know, what it's a consolation prize. I don't care to play for this.
The bowl games in college football are some of the most ridiculous things, because you could be 8-8 and make a Microsoft Bowl, and it's just like no one's watching this shit, but it's all about money and revenue, I guess, at the end of the day. I think eventually the college is going to have to look at a 16 playoff. I think 16 playoff is to me more realistic.
With two buys?
Yeah, more realistic than a 18 bye. I've heard people say we need an 18 playoff. I'm like, no. I think 6 is fine, and especially with these kids being college and going to NFL, I just think that's what you said with 2 buys. I do think, though, since the playoffs have started, I think the 4 best teams each year have been there. Really? So the committee's done a good job.
Okay.
And, you know, I know a couple years ago there was all that Baylor felt that they deserved to be there, but it's so funny. The Big 12 was, at that point, didn't have a championship game. Right. They have a championship game now.
Yeah.
But you have to have all the other teams that made it had championship games. So the 2 best teams from those divisions that were in that same division end up playing each other. So, you know, I know a lot of people are upset that Georgia and Alabama were there 2 years ago, but they were clearly the 2 best teams. So we'll see what happens. But this year, man, you got Clemson hanging by a thread because they haven't played anybody. And then Oregon's made a comeback. Georgia's making a comeback. So, these teams are just hoping that one of these two teams, either way,
Right.
one of these teams, somebody's going in there. So we'll see what happens.
Damn. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been our show today. Thank you so much for joining us once again. This is the Sports Trapp Podcast. My name is John Trapp, Mr. Khoa, Christopher C. Rodriguez. As
Wait.
always.
One more thing. Khoa,
Shut the.
will you marry me?
No.
Please.
Never.
Will you marry me?
Why are you so selfish right now?
Will you
Oh my
marry me?
God. Please.
This
See
is
what
I
happens
deal
after
with
the
every
camera
day.
turns off.
John, will you marry me?
Oh my God. Anyways, thank you for so much for joining us. Check us out on YouTube, SoundCloud, Podbean, podcast.
Not
however
SoundCloud
you.
anymore.
Oh yeah, that's right. We moved on to bigger and better things.
Spotify, Apple Podcast, Podbean, Google Play, YouTube.
There you
Check
go.
it out.
Or you could just go to our link on our IG page and you can see
Yeah.
all the platforms that we're on.
Subscribe, click like, hit your boy up.
Comment.
You have been listening to the best damn Houston-based sports podcast in the city. Thank you so much. Good night. I'm out.
Peace.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. This has been the Sports Trap Podcast. My name is John Trapp. This is Christopher Rodriguez. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, @the Sports Trap. Check us out on Google Play, iTunes,
Speak your truth, John.
Spotify, and also watch us right here on YouTube. Thank you so much. We out.